situations and cleanup work by the...
Speak up, Steve.
Okay.
No mumbling.
There was substantial amount of putting warning at some hazardous areas in town and substantial amount of cleanup by the fire department. And FEMA, once the governor declared it an emergency and the national, I guess the president agrees, FEMA returned some funds. So we'll open the public hearing. If folks have a process there's a public hearing, we close the public hearing, and the selectmen vote, having heard the will of the public, to accept or not accept. We might postpone that until, well, I guess we won't. The public hearing's open. Would anybody care to offer an opinion concerning the acceptance and assignment of $65,742.37?
What did we clean up?
I'm sorry?
What, this was for cleaning up hazardous materials? No.
Storm damage.
I think we turn it over to Richard. Richard probably explained it pretty well.
No, we had some road damage.
It's not a-
Okay.
We just gotta yell.
Okay, we had roads that washed, we had a lot more damage that occurred to the Bunker Hill Bridge that took out more of the abutments. And we had culverts, and we also had a lot of drainage work that we had to take care of. And as usual, we kept track of it all, and then when they declared it, the emergency, and we had everything to take care of it. It was just, and they were very good, and it was very helpful, because we used a lot of the materials that we already had stockpiled and culverts, et cetera, as far as that, okay? And also a lot of trees and stuff that came down, we had a lot of cleanup with that.
I think I just didn't understand what Steve said.
Okay,
so
yeah,
that-
all right. Good.
So is there any reason why we wouldn't accept this?
I can give you 65,742.37 reasons why we should.
Yeah, but is there any reason why we shouldn't?
This is money we've already expended. They are reimbursing us for that expenditure that we did.
So this is kind of a no-brainer,
Well,
right?
it is, but we're required by law to hold a public hearing for this. And so we're holding the public hearing. And hopefully, you folks won't say, well, we don't want their money.
Even if they did,
we might have to
vote to take
overrule
it.
David?
I'd like to thank the road agent and the fire department for their hard work. I'd like to thank whoever did the accounting, keep track of it. I'd like to thank the federal government for offering us this opportunity.
That was you.
Yes.
Let people, it was all of us.
Thank you. Further comments concerning the FEMA money?
I have a question. So how much did we spend on this? We're getting reimbursed $65,000. How much did we spend?
Do you know what the total was, Richard?
It was very close to the 62,000 between what we came in, what we estimated on the bridge, and also with the road cleanup and the culverts and the gravel we used, and everything we had to replace in the stone, and the hours, the man hours, the equipment hours. Yes.
So it's a pretty much one-for-one wash. I mean, it may be $1 off here or there, but very close.
I don't know if you want to explain that the $30,000 will be voted on until meeting. Even though we're taking it, we're also going to extend that to Richard, the
Put it back out, yes, right.
$35,000.
The March warrant will cite 32,000 of the
30,000.
30,000 of the 32 to be assigned to the highway department, even though
Bridge capital reserve.
all of it's going to the bridge capital
Just
reserve.
30,000.
And if town meeting approves that, which pretty sure they'll do, and if that money isn't all spent on the reconstruction of the Bunker Hill Bridge, that can be held over till 2019 and expended next year. So if, in fact, the board votes tonight to accept it, you'll see the disbursement of the funds on the warrant in March. Further, no? Further comments on the FEMA money? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Would the board care to vote on yes or no, or would the board care?
I make a motion that the board accept the FEMA funds totaling $65,742.37.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Now for something completely different. There's 3 handouts as you walk out tonight. The one to your extreme left on the chairs is supplied by the school district, and it's a public survey concerning the superintendency of our SAU. And if they would be more than happy if you took some time and filled it out and left it anonymously someplace, or non-anonymously, whatever, and when we clean up tonight, we'll put them in a stack and get them to the administrative office. We have another public hearing tonight, and that's concerning a couple of things. Number one, raising fees at the transfer station for construction and demolition, which also includes mattresses, rugs, windows, etc. And to $5, an extra $5 per cubic yard. And the purpose of that money would be to offset some of the increased costs of processing and shipping C&D waste, which is money loser for most everybody. And I'm derelict in my duty as to the timing of this. We are very much interested in explaining to you, but primarily having you tell us about the changes in waste recycling in the transfer station, which were done for overwhelmingly financial reasons. But as you know, we recycle through waste management. Most of what they haul for us is not being recycled because the markets have collapsed for glass and some other areas. Our cardboard that you bring clean and dry to the transfer station is being recycled. Aluminum cans are being recycled. Metals are being recycled. And we believe that some electronics, which transfer station superintendent dug for a reasonably local, not Tamworth, but local enough vendor. Our electronics are not processed nor hauled by Waste Management. They are by a different vendor who was pretty good recycling record, because there's a market for some of those take-down electronic, old televisions, computers, monitors, etc.
Who's that vendor?
North
Coast Recycling.
North Coast Recycling, says Glenn in his stentorian voice.
You said you had all the answers.
And I did say Glenn had all the answers. He's done an awful lot of research on this. We're pleased that he did, because we would have been treading water even worse if he had. Additionally, aluminum cans are recycled at substantially lower cost than they would if that was a waste management issue. And metals are recycled at a enormous savings to the town by a local company that pays the going rate back to the town, but saves us $295 every time that big box moves with your metals in it. My brothers and sister and I, and the town administrator in her office, have a incredibly large source suddenly of various magazine and business material. This is a common problem of recyclables not getting recycled across the nation. Increasing amount of stuff going into landfills. And we have some stuff, and you know, I've got mine. These folks might have theirs. And if you see something and you leave a email address, if I've got it, I'll email it to you, and we'll try and have something available. There's a situation down at the office, although if you take our last copy, we're doomed, and there's two of those handouts. The one in the middle and the one on your right as you're leaving also address the new practice and some of the issues involved. I got a call from Lakes Region Planning Commission, who we've asked for substantial information on this, and they supplied information as recently as Tuesday, and told us while we're chatting on the phone that it's a problem all over, at least northern New Hampshire, where many towns are in the same situation, and I think you read about Wakefield and the mound of glass that's, no? Wakefield in the Carroll County Independent had minutes of summary of the selectmen's meeting there, where they found that what they expected to be recycled was not recyclable, and they decided to proceed as they were. We'd be more than happy to answer questions, but if you're okay, if you have something to say, we hope that you say it. And again, my apologies. I'm the accidental chairman this year, and the chairman gets a slug at the agenda, and should have had this. We should have had this public hearing before the thing went into place. However, there wasn't an awful lot of time. You know, the contract expired October 31st, and the new contract is well, it's substantial increases because the vendor can't sell the stuff.
I'd like
Does the
to,
contract expire every year on October 31st? 3
years. It's a 3-year
It's a
contract.
3-year contract.
Last
so-
contract was extended a year because Glenn found the electronics vendor, which he took away from the
Cans, vendor, metal vendor, and electronics.
Right. And in order to have somebody else supply that service to the town, we extended the contract a year, which if in hindsight, if we could have extended it 300 years, we would have given the new prices.
And kudos to Glenn. And is there any way that we're going to have some kind of a predictability on what's coming up the next time the contract expires? I mean, you know, one of the things I have to do is I call the insurance company and go, okay, this is what we paid you this year. Can you give me an estimated idea of what the cost is going to be for the next year? You can't write it in granite, but, you know, you can get a guideline. Is there any way to predict this so we won't get into this kind of a hot button situation again?
this contract is a 3-year contract. They wanted a 5-year contract.
They wanted 5.
And Glenn very nicely
They wanted
talked
4.5% interest. 4.5% increase each year.
Glenn wanted 3.5, they settled for 3.75.
Good job, Glenn.
We lowered the contract by 2 years and got a 3.75% increase on hauling and tipping fees for the 3 years.
Good job.
Beth?
So can I ask, have you already entered into a new contract?
Yes.
Yes,
So
starting
we're in a
November 1st.
contract until October 2021?
yes,
Okay.
October 31st, 2021.
And do you have any figure? Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say, there's 2 sections to this. There's the public hearing on raising the rates at the transfer station. And that's really what we're required to hold a public hearing on. But the other part we're glad you're here for is so that the town can figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it to recycle more materials.
Yeah.
And they're two separate issues, but yet they all
Work together.
They all hit Glenn. So I think it would be good if we could move through the cost part of it and then talk about how and what you want to do for recycling.
Although B
I have some ideas.
might have something to do with A.
Oh, it does, but I mean,
Hey, help me and me overshadow that.
Yeah.
the real thing is the increase in the only real change in this, if I'm correct, is increasing the construction demolition dumping fee from $3 a cubic yard to $5 a cubic yard. That's a pretty small increase.
No,
right?
well, we can do the minimum charge, but we're doing the per cubic yard charge. It's
Right.
going from 30 to 35.
Oh, okay, all right, per cubic
Are you
yard.
with him? Did you pick it up?
Per cubic
The
yard.
current cubic yard fee is $30?
When you bring it into me,
Right, into ours.
it's going to go up to 35.
To raise
Waste
that,
management went up about 45 to 50% on their cost to me. Well, to the town, not to me.
a substantial
My
amount.
budget.
Substantial amount of that was hauling cost, not too much processing fee for C&D, because a lot of it goes in landfills. Can't do much about that. Although there are some people that are trying to do some recycling of that. Wicked expensive. Yeah,
So for most homeowners, most residential people, we can recycle aluminum cans and cardboard and everything else goes
Metals.
on. So our job, the second part of your question then today, what can we figure out to do with those other things that we used to recycle that under this contract would be recycled, or we can do something different with them?
It's not crap.
there's not many other options. There are effectively two folks in this business in America. Almost everybody in New Hampshire uses waste management, including some of the folks that we see as their competitors go through waste management. Some independents like North Conway.
See, if you, any of the people in town know this, you'll see Casella's rear pickup dump, trash compactor truck, and waste management. They're the only two names in the area.
All right.
If you're gonna mention North Conway Incinerator, they're an independent. They have to either go Casella, Waste Management, someplace in Maine, or the new facility in Berlin. They're at the mercy of whatever they charge, and they will pass that extra cost on to you or I, or whoever contracts with them. That's why I stayed with Waste Management, the best bang for the buck. When you stay with Waste Management for Casella, they will give the towns, government, municipalities a better rate because you're doing it all in-house. You're not picking them for one thing, somebody over here for something else. Each one is going to charge you something different, but take it to basically the same location. So why pay more to an independent to take it to basically the same locations than you would to pay the in-house price, doing it all through one entity, one company?
Interestingly enough, Lakes Region Planning Commission that has some regional cooperation going on, it saved the town money in electricity last year, will again this year, and also saved the town some money in fuel, oil, and I guess that's it, fuel, oil, and, propane, and not quite as much money in electricity this year too, because of the volatility of those markets. So what they did was get everybody's waste management, not the company, the process, costs. Tamworth's weren't complete because a couple of our vendors are different than other people's. That's the local vendor for metals and the regional vendor for electronics. So they put all these people together and examined total costs and costs getting there. And people use different vendors and different haulers and had different equipment in their transfer station and more or less employees. And the difference between all those people, except for Tamworth, the greatest difference between any of them was $7, which leads me to believe that the contracts with almost everybody are equalized so that Waste Management or whoever's going to be the contractor makes pretty much the same amount of money on each contract, which I understand they're doing business. And although they had a bit of a scare, I guess, in the last couple of years about stock prices, as did Republic, which is the other national thing. I recently read a stock analysis of these people and, understood at least 3 words of it, but they were saying that increased costs to their customers, that's us, have been put in place, especially in terms of hauling. There's a hauling fee, and even more so in terms of processing fees. For instance, correct me if I'm wrong, newspaper went from $35 a ton processing fees, $135, or was that plastics?
No.
Nope.
Paper. Let me tell you, somebody was somewhere. Paper was, we were paying nothing
Nothing's
for paper. And we were getting a $10 per ton rebate. Then it went down, they were taking it for the paper, not paying us a rebate, we were paying nothing. The contract is, we will pay for paper $135 per ton to have it processed. From nothing to $135 a ton.
And we're not the only ones in that. Increased processing fees, not only in Tamworth, not only in Carroll County, not only in the Lakes Region Planning Commission's area, pretty much everybody in America.
It's all over the country.
I'm sorry?
It's all over the country.
All over the country.
All over Europe, too. The UK is having the same problem.
Any other comments about the $5 increase?
We'll get back to that.
Well,
What if we want to pay for it? What if we want to pay $135 a ton?
for it to go into a landfill.
There's no guarantee that it's going to be recycled.
This-
We're going to pay that fee, it's going to be hauled away. If they can get rid of it, they're going to try. If it's not cost effective to them, it's going in the landfill.
Well, isn't that better than assuming it's going to go into the landfill?
I'm automatically assuming, according to what they're saying, it's just going into the landfill. And they're just trying to make
But
it.
it's going to go to the landfill now.
There are some things that probably could be done, and I think this loads the second half of this thing, not dealing with the price increase. And I don't know if we want to delve into that right now or get done with the public hearing on the price increase and then go to it. So we're separate.
Why don't you?
Well, I mean, I guess my thought is, what they're saying is newspaper, you can get rid of newspaper if it's just newspaper. And that means when you buy or get the free newspaper, everything inside that newspaper has got to come out. All the glossy paper. You can't put this paper in newsprint. Everything. It has to be clean, dry. What, you're shaking your head? No, it doesn't have to be.
They don't do just newspaper anymore. Okay, everything goes to a MRF plant. The MRF plant is that machine that separates it all. When it goes from Howard goes down there, goes into the MRF plant, it's about 25% out of our load. It's automatically rejected, just going through the plant. Now they process it and mail it. When it got to China, or Vietnam, or Malaysia, another 30% of that was rejected for contamination, which came out of the machine Now you're talking 55% of that load is rejected.
But that was mixed paper,
That's mixed paper, that's all they do.
so they won't even touch the newspaper.
They won't take the straight newspaper. They want it now, we've been bagging it, we've been tying it with string. Paper now,
What's it, loose news?
where the hell is it? Newsprint, magazines, glossy inserts and pamphlets, cereal boxes and all that, mixed paper and all. Clean, dry, loose in a container. So now you're putting all the mixed paper in, packaged so we can stack it. We average about 6 tons. Loose, put in the container, we'll be lucky to get 3 tons. We're gonna pay almost $300 to ship 3 tons. It's gonna make a lot more shipments.
Is there a processing
And-
fee for loose paper?
What?
Is there a processing fee for loose paper?
For loose paper, that's what it is, $135 a ton.
And that's contaminated.
Yeah, and that's everything that goes in. The recycling is a very hard process. And I thought we were doing very well on it, but we're not doing as well as I thought. We get a lot of contamination. Plastics are the worst one, glass is the next to the worst, paper is the better of the 3. Cardboard is the best. We just stack the bags and that, we pull out what we see. Well, there is a lot of stuff. The plastic lined, bubble wrap packaging that looks like paper, they're in with that paper, that's all trash. There are milk cartons, there are wax papers, there are everything else that go in there that we can't see that are in the bags. Now, if the people want to continue the recycling, I would suggest the town look into what they did down in Walpole, New Hampshire, years ago when I went down there. We were going to build our new transfer station.
Can you hear him? This is pretty interesting. Would you mind speaking that way?
Would I mind speaking? I would wish I didn't have to speak.
But you all came
You
to
know
hear.
that. What they did in Walpole, New Hampshire, they recycled and they did it 100%. But they had 65 volunteers that came in and worked a half a day a month. And they had 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, and all those people did was stand there and hand sort all the recyclables. All the trash was taken out, and everything had it, just recyclables wet. Now, if the town of Tamworth wants to do that, and we're only open 3 days a week, we need 2 people a day, so that's what, 9 people a week, 5 weeks, that's 45 people. If we can get 45 volunteers and guarantee they'll be there every day, I'll recycle any damn thing you want. If you can't do it, it's too much work for myself and my attendant. We cannot hand separate everything. We tried that before at the old dock. I don't remember how many people were here, how many people were here 30 years ago when I started. But we had a barrel of plastics, opaque. The Milton bottles and jugs, we had a number 2 colored. We put the laundry detergent and all the number 2s in that. And then we had one for the number 1 P. Okay, then we had bags for magazines. We had a place for magazines and catalogs and newsprint. Then we had a place for aluminum cans. We had a place for 3 different glasses, clear, flint, amber, and green. Everybody in the town was complaining like the devil because they did not want to do this. They had too many barrels in their house or their garage or in their backyard. I worked for over 29 years on this process. And I worked it so with companies making deals that we could mix the glass together. Then we could put the plastics all together. Then we could put the paper and the magazines and all that together. and the cardboard stayed separate. Everybody was good, but it was not separated properly. All right? And then they go to these MRF plants. It's separated by a big machine that looks like an octopus. It has magnetism, reverse magnetism, air blast, photosensitive eyes that do all the work. Well, in that is glass, paper, cans, you name it, cardboard, all in there. It comes out the other end, it goes into a machine that processes it, mails it, shipped overseas. They still want our material. They don't want our trash. Now, if you people want to guarantee me that it is, fine, we can do it. But I personally do not want to spend this kind of money on recycling to have 50% of it thrown away. I don't know what you people think, but that's it. Yes?
Is that the same thing as the single stream that merged?
That's a single stream. Almost every company that does this now is single stream. I asked about it. I sent an email out to my district rep. I don't have a flyer on just newspaper only. What I have is attached. Okay, and that's what I was just reading off from. And it's not good.
The single stream processing fee for on every load is $160, which is
Well, it's
substantial.
$295 to truck it,
And
and
$160.
$135 a ton to process it.
I thought it was $160 for single stream.
No, for newspaper or mixed paper,
Oh, okay.
it's $135. Plastics, it's $125 a ton for them to process our plastics. The only plastics they want now is 1, 2, and 5. No 3s, no 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. No more 5 and 7, no more 3s. Just 1, 2, and 5. So we don't have 3 and 7. That's all they want. Rinse clean, caps removed. Our glass, we're putting all the glass together. Porcelain, china, ceramics, mirrors, window pane. All your bottles and glass, broken glass. No more. All they want is food and beverage jars and bottles only. Lids off, wash clean. You're allowed 1/2 of 1% contamination. No peanut butter. Plastic's the same way. No peanut butter, no mayonnaise, no oily substance. They're trash. Nobody washes them out. They just pop them in. I've had pickle jars come in full of damn pickles. All right? Peanut butter with a half a jar in it.
Those are
I
like
start washing them.
Those are like dill pickles, but much so.
Okay?
Were they
You
sweet
people
or
want to do
sour?
it? Wash all your trash.
And then comes the question, is that environmentally a good thing to do?
Pickles?
The amount of energy that you're using to clean the product so that it can be recycled, are you actually not gaining? I mean, and it's beyond me.
I'd like to say one more thing. 5 years ago, I worked a deal with Waste Management. All right? We were paying $59.92 to ship MSW. The same thing on construction demolition bulky waste. We were paying $80 a ton on top of that. So I talked with them and I fooled around with a few numbers. We worked it out that the last 5 years, we on the MSW, our household trash, we paid $78.73 a ton to truck and dispose of it. This year, we're paying $72 a ton, new contract, to dispose of it, plus $295 a ton to process it, put it in the landfill.
$295 each
Just to
time
haul
after
it away.
use.
Our demolition and bulky, we paid $92.29 a ton to truck it and dump it. It's now $78 a ton just to dump it, and another $295 a ton to trucking. Now, that is a major increase. That is why on that one there, I am asking for another $5. Like I said, they went up between 40 to 60% with the increase in trucking and the tipping fees. I'm asking $5. That's not much. And it's not going to cover it all.
In response, if I could, in response to Deb's question, Dan, good idea, and Glenn got back to Waste Management about a guarantee that what was sent for recycling from our transfer station would in fact be recycled and not end up in a landfill. Some of the East Coast stuff is ending up in landfills on the other side of the Mississippi because it's a growth industry. Open up the earth and put stuff in. America, by the way, the average recycling participation is 35% in America. There are times when Glenn would be happy as a clam because he was looking at 80% of certain materials. It's not always that good, and sometimes we slip up, and some of folks might not be quite as good as permanent citizens, but you know we do much better in terms of that than America does. And but it's a nation. It's increasingly. I had a neighbor who said, "Look, this is not China's problem because they dumped some of the markets. It's a national problem about returning to landfills." So Dan asked for guarantees that what we sent as recyclable was recycled. And they responded. Page 13 of the contract has a guarantee. And we've all read it 14 times. And what it says is it's absolutely going to go there provided there's a market that they find reasonable. And the reasonability is their decision because they know how much money is or is not going to come out of it than ours. But we're still going to check periodically, maybe not monthly, but every 2 months, to see if markets have rebounded. Vietnam's acceptance of our stuff has increased 400% over the last 2 years. And there's a lot of Vietnamese. But China's acceptance has plummeted. And the guess is that what they're doing is they don't want anybody else's trash. So what we're going to do is periodically check to see if there's any market that comes back. And tonight, what we hope is, next time we're at the transfer station, one of those black boxes is open, and Rick and Glenn is saying, hey, look, we got a market for this, so at least for the next couple of months, we're going to be able to ship this stuff. Might be wishful thinking, but that's what we're hoping for. Kelly, you really got to yell.
Okay. I think my voice is fairly loud. If anyone can't hear me, please just let me know.
Speak up a little.
Really? I can.
I've heard you.
Don't get me that fired up. So what I'm basically hearing is that there's a national problem here. There's a hauling fee problem. There's a problem with making it profitable to have the hauling and it just seems like there's a mechanical disfunction that's like, is it actually worth it to recycle? I would love to hope that in this day and age we all know that it should be worth it to recycle for the next generations, but that being beside the point, it does seem to me that perhaps there is a market nationally right now for a domestic sort of recycling system. If you're saying that surrounding towns are going through the exact same thing that we are, is there space in the conversation to talk about some sort of domestic recycling center that other towns actually seek us out for and we become useful in this network of trash? Maybe we even get money from it.
Here's a naughty question.
Don't you look at me like that. There's no real markets nationally. Most of all the recyclables in the United States get shipped overseas. There are very few that make it. Dickie work clothes shirts are made with recycled plastic in the fiber. There are some construction companies that make plastic beams and plastic decking, but they're very few. So they don't like working with recycled plastic. It's harder to use and all that. So that's why the major markets have been overseas for all these years. You take China, doesn't have the natural resource and the ability to produce the plastic, but they sure as heck can recycle it. And Vietnam and Malaysia are the same way. They don't have the natural resources and stuff to do this. I'm not a chemist, I can't tell you what it takes, but they don't have it. So they're buying it from all over the world. So, boom.
But I think that America's pretty clever in machinery. I mean, isn't there a way that we could have some sort of recycling mechanism in our country that we could use to recycle plastic and glass? I mean, is that...
One of the problems with the plastics from my reading is that the first plastic is made from virgin oils. It never goes back to a drink container. It always goes to something else, and it degrades as it goes along. And that's part of the problem, is we're always creating so much new plastic, and then it degrades and degrades and degrades, and becomes unusable. And frankly, I think the countries that have been accepting our trash, their environmental record may not be that great on how they're processing it as well, which is a global problem. I mean, the real answer is just stop buying this stuff. I mean, that's really the bottom line, is we are the consumers, and once we consume it, it's like you pick it up on the side of the road, now it's yours, what are you going to do with it? And we haul a lot of waste out of this town. I mean, tonnage-wise, just on the MSW in 2018 was 697.19 tons of municipal waste. That's just one. The bulky waste was 283 tons. This is in 18, you know, and everything increases. So we haul a lot, and it was like 157 poles.
This was my estimated tonnages for
Right.
the year, okay?
Right, yeah. But I mean, that's...
Right here, Willie, up
You
through
got it perfect.
October, we've hauled out 591.45 tons of MSW. Paper, we took out 31.18 through October. Cardboard, 40.58. Commingled containers, plastics, 22.08. Aluminum cans, we've only hauled out 4.62 tons. Glass, 73.31 tons. Oh, wait a minute, Willie, turned too many pages.
And
Let's
how
slow
many,
down.
and how many poles is that?
I'll tell you if you want to know.
I do.
Then over here, C&D bulky, we pulled out 246.44 tons. Tires,
Construction debris.
tires, where the heck are we here? 360 tires and electronics. We've put out 7.27 ton. And refrigeration, we've had 73 refrigeration units come in this year and shipped out through October. You need to know the shipments, Willie? How many times we pulled it?
How many times pulled, yeah.
MSW has been pulled 47 times.
Times
Cardboard has been pulled 11. Commingled has been pulled 10. Glass has been pulled 11 times so far.
The market for glass has collapsed. That's the poster child of what's happening here.
It's the one that's reusable, I think. But what do I know?
We do have a little bit of tonnage in town.
Beth?
So, can you just, Glenn, give in the last year that we thought we were recycling, say 2017, how many tons? And then how much is the tonnage going to increase, I guess?
I have it at the transfer station. Would you like me to go get it?
You
No, but
keep liking.
it's hard
No way.
hard to wrap your mind around what we're talking about. How much do you think the tonnage will increase since we're throwing everything off together? How many more tons total then?
We won't be shipping any more tons total, it'll all be basically the same.
Yeah,
It's just going into different containers.
yeah.
And it's gonna cost us less going the way we are now. You know, I may be
$44,000 less.
just a darn country boy, but to me, $72 a ton is a lot cheaper than $135 a ton processing fee. Or $125 a ton processing fee. Or $130 a ton processing fee.
I failed to recognize Sue Stowbridge, who most of you know handles our hazardous waste schedule and gets you to volunteer with that, and also has been a volunteer in our transfer station and is as knowledgeable about recycling as anybody in the house, except for, down here at the end
Well,
of the table.
I can tell you what Glenn says is true. We are lousy at recycling. There are people who are motivated, interested, want to do it, but for all those people who are motivated and want to do it, and whether you're a single stream person who comes from somewhere else in the summertime or not, there are people who want to do it and people who don't want to do it. We've always recommended recycling, and I would be surprised if there's anybody here who hasn't seen people come up with great big black trash bags, and you can hear the glass going into the hopper. They're not recycling. And there are people who play at it, the jars with the peanut butter and mayonnaise. You tell people, it's got to be clean paper, and, it's wet cardboard that's been out in the yard. You tell people a flat box and they go like that. And it's not flat, and now it's even harder to make flat because you stepped on it. We are no good at this. And until, as a country, we have the least interest in doing this and doing it right, you're just, it's a lost cause. I would love to see us recycling. I'm still kind of keeping things clean and separate because I only get one bag of stinky trash, and then the rest of it's all going to go in the same place in the end. But it is not, as a country, we were not providing a quality product to China. Because for whatever reason, there are a lot of people who just won't, don't, can't, and don't want anybody telling them what to do. And they just, they aren't doing it. I filled in for George for, 4 months or something when he was out on emergency sick leave, and you just tell people again and again and again, and it just goes round and round and round. The same people who want to do it, the same people who don't want to do it, don't do it. So there's no easy fix. My question for Glenn is, can we do anything with equipment or anything to make the construction waste, more profitable, more manageable?
There's no way to make it more profitable. I'm sorry on that side of it. Make it more manageable, I can't break it up any smaller.
But it wouldn't help to, have some way of, weighing it or measuring it or whatever.
Well,
It's just
the only thing on that is, it would be more accurate if we had a set of scales to weigh it and charge per pound or per ton, break it down that way then you could get every penny possible from the town and all that. But you're going to have the expense of buying the scales, maintaining the scale, having them calibrated every 6 months or a year, whatever it is the state requires, plus the we have to have a weighmaster's license to do the weighing and all that, be certified by the state. Other than that, there's no added expense.
Well,
No,
I
it's
figured he would
pretty
have done it
inexpensive.
already if it was worth doing, but I had to ask.
Well, I know, so, I know.
Man,
So I'm new to New Hampshire and new to Tamworth, so that I don't even know where my payment for trash comes from and what this increase is in terms of the percentage of what I'm paying now. Could someone educate? I hate to ask a question that everybody probably knows, but.
It's in your taxes, your property tax takes care of paying for the transfer station. Every year in the annual report, in the town warrant, there's an article for the transfer station, and there's $1 next to it. Not just $1, but a sum of dollars. And it's been kept quite reasonable through the good work of Glenn. And what's happened now is Waste Management has just said, sorry, you can't keep it inexpensive anymore. We're going to charge you more money. And even not recycling, it's going to be more money. We're going up like $44,000, I think I calculated, just without trying to do the recycling piece. $44,000 more.
So the increase that's being proposed is what percent of what a household is paying now? Do you know that?
What is it for?
In 18, we estimated the hauling cost and tonnage tipping fees to be about $88,872. And what we're looking at, if you did the whole separating and all of the good stuff, is about $133,000. So it's a sizable.
About $50,000 more.
Yeah, about 60,000 more. So it's triple.
you know, it's not so much the 60, well, it is the $60,000, of course, because we have a responsibility there. But to pay $60,000, so the stuff we put in those recycling containers go into a landfill, maybe in Rochester, maybe in Bethlehem, if they work that out, maybe in Massachusetts, maybe in Kansas, maybe in Nebraska, where it's a growth industry. They tell us to open up a pit and put stuff in landfill. And, you know, I haven't been knocking on your door, and neither has Willie, which is unusual. But I would think that 3/4 of the people sitting in this room, like the folks on this side of the table, and Glenn, for sure, you know, you've got a kitchen, you've got a living room, you've got a dining room, you've got some bathrooms, and suddenly you have the room with all the stuff in it that you've washed, and the plastics and the papers that you're piling up because we're looking for a solution. Well, we are too, and unless the markets pick up, which is what would be best for our town, I think. Sooner or later, the fire department's going to come in and tell you, no, you can't have stacks of newspaper up to the, you know, it's just an aggravating, and Sue's statement notwithstanding, there are people who are famous for not being very careful about, but after a few grumpy,
pleasant conversations.
a few grumpy, pleasant conversations, because the gentleman at the end of the table, people pick up on it, you know, the good thing is nobody takes his attitude seriously, but his message, we do. And, you know, it rises and falls, but it's exceedingly aggravating to pay extra money, which I think the majority of this town would be willing to do, to see stuff go into a landfill.
I believe I read on the exchange that the community school was looking for clear plastics.
Bottles.
Glass bottles.
Glass.
1 liter plastic soda bottles and 750 milliliter washed, no caps wine bottles. So one of the ways you could help is, once you leave here, Have two. And she's looking for 8,000 wine bottles.
She is.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And
Okay, then.
if we look for a show of hands, there are a number of people in the room that have already dropped off 24 bottles.
Okay.
And her problem, their problem, as they stated to me recently, is we got to find a place to store all this stuff. It can go in the greenhouse now, but
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, is that please still out there? Are they still
Yes.
looking for it?
yeah,
So the 2-liter soda bottles,
I think it's.
What are they doing with it? Building a fire shelter, like a greenhouse from recycled materials. But it's very specifically, I think it's 1 or 2 liter plastic soda bottles and wine bottles. And they'll make room to store them, but
I'm pretty sure the wine bottles are your typical 750 milliliter, you know, box. Wine boxes, no mags, no champagne.
Why not?
Can I make a comment? You know, I'm a man of few words. I think it's very important that you know that we as a board are very, very, very concerned about the environment and that we support recycling 100%. This was not an easy decision for us to make. We understand that there's no market for it now. That's not to say that the market won't open up. In the contract, we ensured that the contract would say that if we stopped recycling glass and the market opened up next month, that we would be able to immediately start recycling glass again. That's in the contract. We are going to ensure you that, Glenn will also, that we are going to keep an eye on the market. And if it comes available that we can start recycling, we are going to do that immediately. We understand that it's been, and this is the hardest thing because it's been an effort on everybody's part to get the mindset for everybody to recycle. Now that you stop, we're thinking, what if 6 months from now the market opens up? To get everybody back into that mind frame, it's going to be very difficult. So, like I said, it's a difficult decision. We 100% support recycling, and it's just unfortunate that it has to come to this.
David?
Can I just respond to what you said, Dan? I think that's great that you have this ability in the contract to restart. It's a huge infrastructure, right? The town has invested a lot in all of those different containers. Everybody in the town has also, recyclers, has also invested a lot in the way they accumulate recycling stuff. And that stuff isn't going to turn on and off on a dime.
I know, I hear you.
I think a good deal of thought needs to be put into figuring out if you really think that the market's going to open up, how to avoid the inertia of, well, everything goes in household waste now, so I'm just going to keep throwing everything. It's like, I don't know how quickly that's going to turn around.
I don't either.
But I think we ought to think about that. If we really, I mean, is that a realistic hope, or is it just, you hate the idea, so you want to hope that it's going to turn around?
Markets are exceedingly volatile, far more than they were 3 or 4 years ago.
Even if it does turn around, how are we going to get the word out? Because we've been chucking our stuff in our pop
Well, don't worry about
to
it.
turn around and get it so that, oh, start collecting it again, and by the time it's full, and the market's gone again. I mean, it just seems like a vicious cycle that's not going to ever come back.
It'll never come back the way it was. Everything has changed. The way they expect it to be processed, the way they expect it to be sent to them, it has all changed. It'll never come back to the way we've been doing it. But it will come back. I don't know when.
Appreciate what you guys are saying, and I understand. I think this has been a real wake-up call for people, not just in this town, but in the surrounding communities and all over the place, because there's just so much that's being produced every day in the way of trash. I wonder, bouncing off of Kelly's idea to some extent, though, you know, if we could look into maybe finding specific markets, anything that we can keep out of the out of the waste stream. You know, that maybe we could get a group of concerned citizens together or something like that to see what, if there are some things that are markets, I just coincidentally, when this news came out, I was down in Massachusetts and I went to visit my old college roommate and she said, oh, this is great. My husband isn't at the recycling center today. And I said, what does he do there? What is the recycling center? It's a regional 7-town recycling center, volunteer, nonprofit, that they take whatever they can, they find markets. I mean, there's a lot more things than just glass and plastic being recycled. Maybe glass and plastic can't be recycled anymore, but maybe there are other things we could do. And what about like biodegradable building materials and stuff? I know a town in Maine that would probably be worth a field trip, where the initiative there has been just incredible to find ways to keep things out of the waste stream and save the town a lot of money in the process. So I'd be willing to work on something like that. I'm sure I see a lot of heads nodding.
I mean, that's how this started years ago. Mr. Wiesner was very much involved in it, and that was been 40, 50 years ago now? I don't know, a long time ago.
29.
29, all right. Seems like a long time. But, it was grassroots effort to do it. And, frankly, the Board of Selectmen, we'd like to think we know it all, but you guys know a lot more than we do. And you have maybe the energy and the time to invest in doing that. I'd be perfectly happy to have a citizens group reassemble to try and see what can happen to alleviate the waste stream. And that's really our problem, is how do we stop the waste stream? The fact of the plastic isn't going to be recycled is so much cheaper for them to make a new one than it is to recycle it. It's sad.
LRPC has, what do they call that round table where they take an issue and Glenn goes and Rick goes and once in a while one of us goes. And there's one coming up in December, November 27th, November 27th. But the issue is composting and food waste, which is not a huge problem, although food waste shouldn't be going in that box. I mean, that's not much easier to do, and some education. Compost is good for us all, and some education efforts would be pretty good. The thing about what are we going to do if a market opens up? I'm not convinced that we could get back to close to where we were in terms of the town participation, the citizens. But there's not an awful lot of situations in this town, and I've only been here, 25 years or something, and some of you 3 times that. Yeah. But trust in the community has pretty much worked every time, and I believe it would again. But and it'll take some work, and it'll take some talk, and it'll take some reminders for our neighbors and stuff like that. But if the thing gets even a little bit easier in one commodity or non-commodity of this recycled stuff, I believe we could get back on track at least to some level. 3 years ago, Glenn told us he was probably going to recommend pay-as-you-throw. Interestingly enough, in the current issue of New Hampshire Business Review, there's an article, a little sideline thing about pay-as-you-throw. And they have evidence all over the country to show that pay-as-you-throw increases recycling. Because if I got a bag that's going to cost me $1, if I put that glass in the bag, there's less than what I can other stuff. So I put the glass in a glass container. So it increases recycling, and it would be a good thing to do. You pay $1 a bag. It's all over America. It's not that onerous. Except in the absence of market, what that's doing is increasing that person who follows the rules. It doesn't go in the woods, so the somebody can call up the highway department and say, oh, you know, there's another bag of trash in my neighborhood that somebody dumped illegally. What it does is increase the amount of stuff that's going in the landfills. And I would hope that someday, with even a minimal increase in markets, that pay-as-you-throw might be a reasonable consideration in town, because it gets people to recycle more. But it doesn't today.
You know, and I hear what you're saying, and I want to thank you all. I mean, you guys have done a lot of work on this. Glenn, you're awesome. You've done great work on this, and I appreciate it. I'm a lot more informed now, having been to this meeting. But one of the problems with pay-as-you-throw is we are going to see so much more litter on Page Hill and Chicora Road and Depot Road, because you will get people just taking that 6-pack of Budweiser bottles and pitching it out and not leaving it
do
there.
that.
They're going to do it more. They're going to do it more. Sure, they do. But, you know, that's the places where I see it when I'm traveling around. And we've got to consider that part of it as well.
And that's another concern with the tipping fee is at the transfer station. When we raise them, you don't want to raise them too much, because people go, oh, well, that's too expensive. I'll just back in over here and dump it off, a mattress,
Yeah.
you know, some
Well,
construction.
29 years ago when I started this, a little over 29 years ago, up on Summitview Drive, there was a banking. And they started putting all kinds of mattresses, box springs, refrigerators, ranges, you name it. People found it. And it became a big problem.
So, I mean, and that's one of the reasons we hold the public hearing, to see if it's okay to raise the rate.
Well, I really appreciate you doing this, and like I say, I'm more educated. Thank you.
I'm just wondering, what does the state have to say about us? Like, don't they have a part in like helping us, you know, all try to find things for things and, you know, like come in at some point and say, we as a state have a problem with this, you know, to do public outreach or, you know, help guide us in this in some way. I mean, it's larger than just our state, like you're talking about, it's a whole country thing, so I was just wondering, anything coming down from the state on this?
I don't know when the date is, but I just saw it advertised on TV today that Channel 9 Chronicle is going to be doing a big special on the...
It's
Oh, it's tonight.
Tonight, 11 o'clock.
Oh, it's at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see that, because it's talking about the state problem.
It's talking about the whole country.
Okay.
Where is your recycling going is what it's
Yeah.
called.
Not like this town, like I start thinking, okay, well, this will get back squared or something. Now, in the meantime, I'll bring my stuff over to my sister's house who lives in a different town, you know. And so then it's gonna start kind of like going like that. I think what people are saying, I'll just bring my glass over there. But if everyone brings their glass to the next town and so forth and so on, it's like, we're not gonna get anywhere. So, it's
Sir?
really sad.
Does anyone know, like, if, like in all of the states that actually have a bottle bill, 5 cents per, what happens to that compared to what we're doing with our bottles?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, I mean, that, you think about the tonnage that would save, having a bottle bill.
The question is, what do they do?
Right, I don't know
with
what they
that.
do. I don't know if they,
And I mean, that, you know, if they just turn
Spunny
around
nose, beer bottles go back to Spunny Nose, do they, you know what I mean?
And-
Like, what happens?
And originally, it was exactly that. The bottles weren't processed. You carried them in. You took them to the local supermarket in states that do that, and they were collected and cleaned and reused. Now, most recycled glass is crushed as opposed to keep whole.
Most of it is crushed, used as an aggregate in something, or Waste Management was doing it to use it as like a sand over there, transfer it over there.
And there was,
Yeah.
They're hot top, they're roads.
right, that
Cover material over there,
underlayment
landfill.
in roads was going to be in
Road base, yep.
Hartford, Connecticut. If you drive through there with those mercury lamps, the road sparkles because they did it, not just for underlayment, but also for the asphalt cover. And
Are they still doing that?
No,
And do we
the
know
market
why?
for glass is defunct.
Gone. Nobody wants it.
Well, maybe not forever. It's not there at the moment.
Earlier, there was a comment about what happens when you have to get the word out that something has changed.
Oh, don't worry, I'll tell you.
I know, but although the whole town isn't on the exchange, the people who are could talk to people who are not, and I urge any and all parts and pieces of the town to use the Tamworth Exchange as often as you've got something to tell the people. Sandwich doesn't. I mean, when the roads are bad, they post a notice. When there's a bridge closed, they let you know.
I second that motion.
It would be nice if we had a great deal more visibility of all of the parts and pieces of the town, because sure, there are plenty of people who are not on the exchange, but there are lots of people who are, and if you're on both Sandwich and Tamworth, you know that there's a marked difference between what they get on their message board and what we get on ours, which is pretty much zero zip nada. So we could do better. I think we should do better. I don't want to be the one that everybody says, hey, can you post this for me? I know, I'm a retired secretary, I can do it, but really?
And it's very easy to post.
It isn't hard.
And it would be good to let me know, put it on the town screen or website as well. If you guys have any other stuff to put up.
Well, I mean, the word got out about this whole situation.
It was on the website.
And, I mean,
Flyers up
it
there
didn't
and-
take a lot of time for us to go, what are those guys doing?
Hey, so that we don't lose sight here, the public hearing was really for Glenn's proposal to raise the fee
Big fees,
$5, so it'd go from 30 to 35.
All in favor, say aye. See ya.
So
What fee is this exactly?
This is for the construction
the
and dumpster.
Jim, oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No,
Jim?
I would consider possibly raising the fee a little bit higher, because if you think about it, the stuff going into that construction bin is when you remodel somebody's house, you tear it out. It's part of the cost of the construction to dispose of the waste. Some of these guys also hire great big, dumpsters to do it. So they're bringing it to the town because they have to do it as part of the job, and the customer having the job done should pay the cost. And we might consider increasing it.
there was a reason why he went with the 5.
I think going up that way, what you're saying, people remodeling, they're probably going to get a mortgage or something. Yeah, that means you could charge them more. The average Joe Schmo, how often do you change the rugs in your house? How often do you throw away your bedroom set, your living room set, your dining room set? How often do you do it? Well, charge a fee to those people in accordance to what it is. The everyday person. Why pay an extra, say, $10 a year on your taxes for everybody else in the town to use it? You don't throw something away for 20 years. You know, it's only going to cost you $5, throw it away. You spend $200 for a $5 item. That's why I instituted the fee. We only charge for things that are not everyday items. Tires, refrigerators, major appliances, which is the refrigerator and freezer now. We don't do anything else with the rest of it. And construction material, bulky waste, rugs, you know. So I just don't think it's the burden, it should be the burden of the whole town to pay for someone else to throw away their stuff.
No, I was suggesting construction work. People who dispose of construction waste should pay their share.
That's why I'm only going up 5. I can't jump it as high as waste has. I mean, go. I'd be shocked. That might be a blessing anyway.
Again, part of the reason is, maybe next year we're going to be back here and raise it another $5.
Might be back 6 months back for it.
But the thing is, if you raise it too fast, then the first guy that pulls in near the transfer station, and Glenn says to him, that's $100. He looks at Glenn and says, no it isn't, and drives out. And where do you think that's going to end up? Then somebody's going to pick it up and it's going to cost you more than the $100. And that's part of it. I mean, it's an education process of, you know, most of us, well, not me, I do some construction stuff, so I go in and pay to dump construction. But most people from their home don't have generally construction debris.
First guy that pulls out of that transfer station say, no it isn't, Glenn's got his license plate, Rick's got his license plate, George has got his license plate, and Sue Stobridge is down there volunteering, and she's got the license plate too. And Richard's gonna give a call to Dana within 15 minutes.
We did discuss that, the fee, and we wanted to do baby steps. So we were going to go with the baby step now. Who knows, 6 months it might go up again. Or definitely for sure next year it's going to go up because we've got a percentage that we're going to be paying next year based on our contract. So this was just a baby step so that to get people in that mind frame.
Could I request additional comments on the $5 increase in C&D? $5 per cubic yard in C&D. Are there any further statements that the folks would, at the close of the public hearing, we'll take a vote on that, which is, and I'm not trying to limit, we're really pleased you're here. We're really pleased that folks have ideas to help, not those of us who are trying to wade through this, but also help out the entire situation. And we appreciate it. We don't want that. The question about the $5 was not to cut off discussion that we were having. Are there further comments considering the situation we're in? Kelly?
I just really like the idea of having a subcommittee. I think it would be really helpful and supportive to Glenn. I mean, he's been doing all of this research and everything. I mean, maybe it wouldn't because I know how it is to have many voices at the table. But, you know, you have these people that have time to research other things. They know people that are doing other things in their town. If you have a group of committed citizens, you can really create change. It doesn't seem like waiting on China to change their mind about lazy Americans is going to really happen.
We're still looking for American market. We look for them everywhere. We aren't just looking overseas. The major part of it, China was buying 60% of all the stuff thrown, recycled in the world. 40% of it out of the United States. So, I mean, they're the biggest customers, and there's still other ones using it. But you're going to need a lot of little customers to make up what China was buying. And you want to start a company to use it?
And it just seems to me like when I think about recycling, and does it really make a lot of sense, you know, you have to take into account the amount of fuel that's going to ship this stuff overseas twice because we're getting it from China, giving it back to them. You know, it is part of the equation. I just think that it doesn't really seem like waiting on them to open up the gates and say, hey, we'll take your glass for another month because the market's good, is going to really be the solution because people are going to get lazy. They're going to stop recycling glass. So it seems like there could be another solution out there. I don't currently have any idea what it could look like because I haven't done any of the research on this. But I think if there were a subcommittee of committed citizens that was doing the research to find out what there is, then maybe they could come back to the group or come back to you and say, what about this? Is this
Okay, I nominate Kelly Goodman for that.
I was just going to ask Kelly what we want to call that committee.
What we want to call the subcommittee?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if we're going to have one.
Well, I think it's a great idea. You know, the people are the ones in charge, really. So if you want a subcommittee on this, we'll say go for it.
It takes a lot more than one person to make a committee.
Well, I agree, but we've had it over here, we've had a comment about it, so I mean, are there enough people that are interested in being on a committee to look at the possibilities of what can happen?
and also to communicate with other towns as to what they're doing and how.
Could you set a date for a preliminary get-together to see who would be interested in being on this subcommittee?
That would be up to Sally, who's the chair of the subcommittee.
And Glenn.
Aren't you like Dave?
And you can bring it up with
Darlene points out that the public does not need to wait for us. If there's folks who decide to meet, there's no way that this board would turn a deaf ear towards what they recommended and would be exceedingly interested in any information that committee could provide, and the board would certainly share all of that with the entire community. If folks get together and decide it was preferable to be an advisory committee like we had for the police and we have for the budget and used to have for finance, and that we would certainly encourage that. Pay the postage fee.
So you were trying to move towards a vote on the increase? Is that?
Yes, we would.
We have to close the
can't.
public hearing before
have
we do
to close
that.
it. Before we close it, I'd like to publicly thank the resident curmudgeon to your left, who's done just a ton of work on this, not just on this situation, but looking for ways to save the town money and increase the amount of recycling. And a lot of us are exceedingly upset about the fact that the whole country is taking huge steps backwards in what was an environmentally sound proposal, but he also has done, stuff leading up to this. And so we want to thank him, and I'm sure you do too. And if he's not worth your thanks, his family, who we all know and love, who are nice people,
You wouldn't have to mention
this
that.
stuff too. Kim and Karen, at least, and maybe the other daughters are, help him out and find stuff and tell him, no, he's got to research this and he's going to do other stuff. So thanks to Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
If there are no further comments, we'll close the public hearing. And is there a motion?
I make a motion, we increase the fee from $30 to $35 for the construction demolition, which is painted wood, drywall installation, plastic pipes, etc., that go in the construction dumpster.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? The three of us. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry about the rate increase.
I would like to request that we pick a date for this to start. We've got to get some notification out to the public.
Good point.
On the website, on the whatever, and I'll put a notice at the transfer station.
2 weeks enough time?
A week would be
What
better.
do you think, people? 2 weeks enough time?
You all know about it now.
To do what?
Yeah.
To raise it.
The rate increase to go into effect.
Oh, when will it go into effect? Why not December 1st? I don't know.
December 1st?
Preferably after it's
That's
posted on the
15 days.
exchange.
Are you okay with December 1st?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I just thought we got to get it out to the public. We got nice people here that know it. The rest of the town doesn't.
Thank you all.
By the way,
And you can stay
Superintendent Hemingway just walked in with a weapons too, and would love to have you pick up one of his surveys. Do it now or drop it later.
I got one question.
With your forbearance, we're going to have, we're going to continue the regular select board's meeting, always entertaining. Thank you for coming, and feel free to participate. Have something to say. The next order of business is TCC Chairman Nelson O'Brien.
Need to call the meeting to order.
We just did. We just did.
Excuse me, we're having a meeting?
This is going to be as orderly as it gets.
Enjoy.
TCC Chairman Nelson O'Brien is here with information about the pending easement. Sir.
All right. The Alt brothers sent a request that they couldn't be here tonight. But as you may recall, last month at your October 4th meeting, we came before you and explained that the Alts wish to donate an easement on about approximately 6.5 acres, tax map 414, lot 58. Because it's basically surrounded by other properties which are under authority of the easement, theirs and also property belonging to the parcel. In any event, you should have received some information. At that time, we did not have any documents. So tonight, what I'm asking is if you would accept their donation, and if so, would you sign the deed? If you have any questions that we didn't answer last time or anything like that, I'd be very happy to try and answer them for you.
I have one question.
Sure.
Why did the Attorney General have to get involved in this?
Because they wrote the easement for lots 58, which does not have an easement now, and lot 59, which already has an easement. The new easement that covers lot 59 is more stringent, and they wanted to avoid having so many easement documents out there. And when you change a conservation easement in New Hampshire, the Attorney General's office has to okay it. Now, this is the lowest type of request that you can put in, low impact, because basically you're not really changing anything. If you go to change easements, and I want to take something out of easement, that's a major deal.
So it's basically a clarification in the language in the two easements so that they matched.
What they checked was to see that the old easement requirements were all in the new easement requirements plus more. You can add, but you can't subtract.
By the way, we appreciate being informed and kept up to date throughout this process concerning there's no change in revenue to the town, there's no change and this is part of surrounded by conservation land and places where the owners welcome, in fact, provide parking for folks who want to use their property.
The Alt family has been very generous in providing properties which they have hiking trails and people hunt there.
Cross-country skiing, horse background.
Oh yes, and also some of the horse people in this area use some of the trails.
Right.
I don't have any issues with it. I mean, I've read through all the documents and stuff. It's pretty boilerplate, good stuff.
The template that their lawyer used was the one that the Conservation Commission gave them. And our attorney, Matt Surge, also looked at it.
So I mean, I have no issue with it.
I don't have an issue.
I make a motion that we accept the conservation easement from the Alt family for map 414, lots 58 and 59, and sign said documents.
I second that.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thanks for your work on this, sir.
Thank you very much.
And our thanks to the property owners.
I will.
Oh, this is going to have a whole bunch of befores.
It's supposed to be done in front of a republic?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Chris and Terry decided, and they will file it with the registry. Yes. We don't have to do that. There's a letter in here, you can just insert that.
Darlene, do you want us to sign these now and swear, or what are we going to do?
Yes, please do it now. Yeah, and then I will notarize everything tomorrow. One more budget. Data processing. Do you want to grab that?
Yeah, I got separate tabs. There it is.
Are you on here?
Next page. So much. Aaron's on the next page.
That's all we need.
That's all we need for tonight.
Thank you.
There's enough. I'll sign it too, I'm sure.
I don't know whether it requires
Look at that.
all of them or just a majority. It's something that you need to.
Yes?
I can do that.
Okay. The next order of business is Budget Committee considering
Budget?
our budget 4310.10, the Board of Selectmen.
We have a couple of questions. One of them is the last line. It says Christmas wreaths and miscellaneous under contingency for $600. Can anybody
Number one, I'd like
explain?
to reduce that to $500 to start off with. And I think the contingency, I don't like the wording Christmas wreaths and miscellaneous. I think that's totally, I wouldn't
We don't like
spend, I wouldn't
miscellaneous.
spend $500 on Christmas wreaths and miscellaneous.
I can tell you what was in there.
What?
It was the Christmas wreaths and the Christmas lunch.
So let's put down holiday lunch.
That's fine, we can certainly do that.
But
Do
I,
you really need wreaths?
When we put them on the townhouse and the town office building.
Can you put them on the townhouse now with the new doors?
Oh, I don't know.
The wreaths come from the community school. And that, we've been doing that we've been buying a couple of wreaths.
How expensive are they?
They give us the big one, and I don't, off the top of my head, it's gonna be maybe $35, $40 each, I'm not sure. I would have to look, but between 30 and 40 each.
How big?
The ones for the door, I don't know.
Because you saw the one that I had for the Veterans
Yep.
Day. That was the biggest, I paid $50 for that.
one that's at the monument.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that those types of things should come out of the building maintenance funds. It's where it really belongs. Just my opinion, you know, if you're going to do something for a building and it's maintenance, out of the building maintenance, and there's probably enough room in all those budgets to handle a wreath.
Actually, I like to see them. That's what I'm looking for. Donated.
Well, that'd be nice too,
somebody
but
that-
the fact is,
somebody
nobody's
makes
going to
a wreath
donate
and
them,
wants
and
to
you
be
need one
nice
to
and
come
say,
out.
hey, town
They
office.
donate one
Well,
of
they donate the big one that goes in the front of the building.
Right, which is
nice.
great, but it should come out of building maintenance and upkeep versus out of our contingency line. I look at our contingency line, I didn't realize that these words were on the side until right now, but I look at that as more as the Board of Selectmen sees somebody that doesn't quite fit a particular welfare qualification, but giving them $50 for some food or something really might make a difference. That's the type of contingency I think of as something that the board as a whole just goes, boy, that person could really use a hand up. We know enough about their background. They're not coming forward and asking for anything, but gee, you know, if they had a little something to get over.
I think it's in that.
I would think that would come out of the welfare budget.
Well,
I
but
think
it's a
that the whole-
contingency of the Board of Selectmen's discretion to spend something privately where nobody else really sort of knows that that person got what they needed. Not what they wanted, what they needed. That's my thought.
This whole process, when first proposed, was contingent upon the selectmen's desire to decorate for Christmas. And that's the way it was presented by the community school and received by the selectmen who thought that
But
was a
aren't
pretty
there
good
other
idea.
people too that make wreaths in town that might even donate all of them? Just saying, we don't have to agree. That's one of our questions. We'll move on.
Well, we might as well settle it.
We can give our recommendation.
That's going to be in their recommendation, right?
Yeah.
When we go over this budget again. We're going to be visiting them all again.
The training line, you have $1,000 in there and you've only spent 40.
We weren't as dumb as we thought we were. It just hasn't been used. I mean, it's in there having, I think it came up because we were going to go to a 5-member board and having an ability for each member to go to a class, and they generally run, what, $1.50
Depends what they are,
apiece?
at
Yeah,
least
depends. Some of them
$7.99.
are
New
not
selectmen,
expensive.
is there a requirement for training for new selectmen?
Nope.
It's not a requirement, it's recommended.
Yeah.
They all,
Is there, do you guys have a refresher program? Is that online based? No.
We go,
They do our online stuff too, but.
case in point was this year, we all went to the New Hampshire Municipal Association's training for selectmen, which is for new selectmen, but everybody went, and Darlene went, and Kathy went. And the reason why we were able to take all those people was it was in Molten Borough, so anybody who was looking for, and rightly so, looking for mileage, you don't put in for 12 miles usually. But an awful lot of these trainings are down in Concord at Triangle Park, and it's a hike, and some of them are $1.50, and some of them are $90. And one of the $90 ones is Right to Know, which we encourage at least 2 of us to go to. Some people put in for reimbursement, some people don't. But to have more than one person in Right to Know is a pretty good idea, so you have a couple of people who are up to speed, because that law changes most every year. I would think that when we get the next time, we'll know how much we did and did not spend, and that might encourage the board to, if the amount in there wasn't used this year with a lot of
It wasn't
folks.
used last year either. We only used 180 last year, so, this year so far is only 40. Say somebody goes another one, it's 160, so you could probably drop that down safely to $250. It's a $500 savings.
Right. So,
It's 150 per member though, right? On the
No,
account.
it's not per member, it's for the whole board, and however it gets divided up. I mean, I might want to go to something that's a little more expensive than what Steve wants to go to, It's not, you can only,
we don't, we don't have a selectman at the Municipal Association's annual, what is that? The whole, the annual.
Conference?
The conference, the annual, and is that the?
Is that what you mean?
yeah, the annual conference. I've gone to that before.
And I think that one of our predecessors did, maybe 4 years ago, and you did.
I used to go.
And that's got a ton of stuff. There's an enormous amount of information and speakers and processes and stuff that's real valuable, but I've never been, and I'm never going, because it's already coming up, and I'm not in, and I'm done after this year. But I would hope that, there's 2 seats open, and someone would want to do that, so I don't want to trim it too far down.
The other thing I can tell you is the last budget we have to review is Darlene's, or the town administrator, and
Data
the
processing.
data processing, things like that, and then some of the nonprofits that, some of the members have asked to meet with, but I've been calling them, and
You're only going to be,
we don't have much left. We've met with almost everybody.
no, I mean the nonprofits.
There's some of them that we've looked at and reviewed, and there's a few more questions that we need just to clarify some of You know, there's some new ones too. So we should be done.
Super.
Yeah,
You got more questions for us?
yeah.
That's it?
All right.
Can you, can you call me tomorrow and we'll see if we can set up a time for next week? I know
We'll be the next.
Well, not really, but I will come in because I'd like to get this done. So, I don't know what you guys have available. And if not, we can do Monday. But you guys talk about it and we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. No, it's
Or we
going
could do
well.
Monday the 26th. I can come in for that day.
We've got, you know, and then we can just, and then we'll sit down and go over our recommendations. Will the department heads be there when we go over the,
It'll be a public meeting. I don't know whether they want to come sit there and listen to
But
what
then
they have to say.
They should.
Well,
And we're
then-
going to meet with them.
and then you'll meet with them?
Right, so they'll have the
And then we'll have-
recommendations that you've already given the board. Well, hopefully they'll be in writing, or you're gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah.
And I say shame on them if they're not there when they present.
Right. Yeah. No, it's been going well.
Super. Thank you.
We've got a lot of good questions, and it's been good.
A lot of good answers.
Yeah. A good group of people working on it. I'm glad that there's more this year
Yeah,
than
that's
last
nice.
year. You know, there was 4 of us, and it's been good. And a lot of new people that have a lot of questions.
And you've all been participating for most of the meetings, which is good.
Yeah, some. I know.
Excellent.
That's what happens.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Health insurance. Yeah. Plenty of time.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, everybody can have one.
Pleasure.
This is your thing.
But
Remember when you got elected, you said, hey, one of
The
the
budget committee.
first thing we got to do is the budget advisory. Easy working with the department heads?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're fiscal.
We've learned a lot.
I read your recommendation.
Well, I mean, it just, I tried to put something together because that other sheet I couldn't
Yeah. No, I
determine
like it.
where we were at.
I like it.
Oh, come on.
Well, no, I mean, I've looked at insurance for myself before and it's just like, which end is up? And so I had to put it into a format that I could comprehend. And
No, I know.
I think that, and I'm not blaming you.
No,
it's just the
no, like I
facts of
said
what
to you
was there.
today, that, you know, if I had specifics to work with, I was doing it really, really general, where you were able to.
Absolutely, and I just said, well, somebody's gonna have to make a decision, make a recommendation. So I took the bull by the horns and wrote a whole bunch of stuff and tried to come up with what I felt was reasonable, and I think it actually doesn't hurt the town employees as much unless they want the premium plan.
But give them the option.
Well, it gives them the option of, you know, if you want a premium plan, you're gonna have to pay a little more for it. The big thing that I found in the whole thing was that actually going to this new plan, these new rates, if you do the dental as well for them, the cost of the employee goes up for a single, but goes down for a two-person, goes down for a family, and goes up for the modified single, which I always felt that the way the ratio was figured, I didn't think it was quite the right ratio anyway.
When does this decision have to be made?
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Right, if you're changing the plan, which we are changing the plan, if we go to the option 2 prescription, I need to let Health Trust know by November 27th. But we really need to get the employees together so they know what's going on beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted to know. I
Right. I need
mean,
to
how do the
change-
employees feel about this? And is this a,
I spent the last 2 nights at midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning working on this, so I don't know how
Yeah.
they feel about it. I didn't go, hey, what do you guys think about insurance?
No, I understand,
So I'd like
Will, I totally agree with you on that, but I would like to get some feedback from the employees, and if it's,
Well, I mean, and the bottom line is there's some way we have to start controlling our spending in town.
I couldn't agree with you more, but
The way it's set now, if we don't do anything different, our insurance bill for this plan, not for the better plan, but just if everybody was on this particular plan, is $207,000. And if we go to what I feel here, I think it's better for the employees in the long run, in some regards. It adds a flexible savings account that we contribute to. You know, they're still getting the stipend if they don't take the insurance. Their family dental is the same ratio as the regular insurance. We're increasing the employees' contribution from 7% to 10%. So there is an increase, they're paying a little bit more for that. Going to this other one, it's $165,000. So it's about a $42,000 savings to the town. You know, dump one up 44, insurance is going to come down, something's got to move.
no, and I understand, and it's funny you should say that, because it was a big discussion this morning at the gym, and they were talking about insurance. And they were actually saying that for a couple, it was going to cost them what did I say?
$18,000 a year,
Yeah, well, no, it was like, what?
or $1,800 a month.
It was more than that, though. Yeah, but something like that, and it was cheaper not to buy it. Just screw it and say, take my chances.
Wow.
Because it was like $35,000 a year that they would be paying.
I think they ought to check your insurance company a little bit on that one.
And that's, you know, it's not uncommon.
Yeah, no, $17,000
It's just
a
an
person.
enormous
It's
cost.
insane.
Well, I mean, you take a single person, I think I've got it on here. The yearly cost, oh, that's for dental. A single person with this plan, the yearly cost is $7,745 to the town. And that's 90% of the cost. But if you go to the family, it's a little bit more, two persons, a little bit more. But we want healthy employees, and a healthy employee means their family's healthy. Because if you haven't got a healthy family, your employee can't be healthy.
But I would really like to sit down with the employees and explain this to them. Because I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? You say, okay, we're going to give you, because it's all cost-driven here.
Correct.
And we got to look out for the taxpayers. But if we give them the Volkswagen plan, and the school teachers here are getting the Lexus Cadillac plan, I think that that's a disgrace. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it may seem like a disgrace, but the buck has to stop somewhere. I'm sorry. I mean, we cannot continue to spend. We're driving people out of their homes, and it just, somebody's got to say no somewhere along the line.
You're still going to offer them two plans.
If they want,
Yeah.
if they want to buy the bigger plan,
They would just have to pay the difference.
they have to pay
I
up.
don't see nothing wrong with that.
Like I said, the only big change, though, that you will probably have to decide on tonight is to change the prescription piece. That I need to let Health Trust know about. The other stuff, we can wait till after the, I'd like to do it either next Monday or the Monday after, have the department heads come in.
Yeah.
Next Monday might be too quick, but certainly do it on the 26th.
The 26th is a Monday?
Yeah. And go over it with them. And that will give them a couple of weeks to decide, because they have to, open enrollment starts December 1st, and they need to decide.
Sounds good to me.
I'd like us to make a decision about cost of living, because if increase the,
And what if they come up with that now? Do they have a grade on cost? 2.8?
yeah. I think that,
And I'm not terribly opposed to a 2.8 cost of living. It's not a raise. It's the cost of living's gone up.
and it would,
I agree.
You know,
I think we should go with the 2.8
I think we
cost of
should
living.
too, but I would think that we would have to make that, I think our brother and sister would prefer that we make it with them. But I think the cost of living, especially if we're going to increase the employees' participation in paying the cost. And, you know, there's an article in New Hampshire Business Review with some of the same statistics that Darlene provided about what other town employees are paying. Our better, the Lexus plan, as opposed to the, you know, cheap CJ5 plan, between the two, the high tone plan has always been described as Cadillac, you know, really, at least the equal of the school.
What do you want to do with the prescription?
There was two different rates, maybe a $30 difference, average $30 difference in the premium. So right now, if you do a mail-in or you do retail, it's $10, $25, $40, or $10, $20, $45 that you're paying. If we change the prescription too, then it's going to be a $10, $40, $70 if you're doing a mail-in. So the employees would pay more if they mail in and get a 90-day supply of prescription. Right now, they're doing, like I said, 10, 20, 45 or something.
You're going to pay more with the 90-day mail-in?
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
I thought that was less.
well, no, but I mean, it's, this plan, it doesn't cover as much of the prescription line.
Right.
So
The premium would be less,
a little less.
but the cost to get the prescription would be a little bit more.
And that was the idea of going with the flexible savings account as well, giving any full-time employee a $500 flexible savings account, and anybody that's on the modified would get $400 because it's an 80%. You know.
To offset the increase.
Well, it would help offset the
It would help
increase. It's not, you know,
Right.
and then you've got the others that aren't taking it, which get a stipend of $300 per month, which is, you know,
Which is a huge savings to the town.
savings to the town
Yeah.
and benefits the employee.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so, I don't know, insurance is just such a
Well,
tough
although
nut.
at least one of our employees, two of our employees could do Medicare Part D also, and end up not paying any, you know, not paying the 10, 20, 45, et cetera.
Right.
If they get
That would be
fined.
their second, that would be their second insured.
Right.
So they would go with here first, and then whatever extra, they would go to Medicare Part D. So,
But you know, and the other thing is the waiver, what is that, $4,000 now?
$3,600 a year.
$3,600 a year. Is it law that the person has to have equal or better insurance than what the town provides? Is that just?
The wording has been changed.
Right, yeah.
It just says has insurance,
Has
period.
insurance.
Okay, and.
You have to prove that they have to prove that they have insurance elsewhere.
Right.
But the quality and the payout and the benefits of that insurance are no longer an issue.
Right.
No.
We might want to tell some folks that that's the case. We might want to tell everybody that that's the case, because I believe there's people who, because of their marital situation or something, have access to family
Insurance elsewhere, I mean.
insurance elsewhere, but we've told them for years, but it has to be equal to
It's not
the town
worded in
insurance.
our,
That would
I
be.
don't know who was saying that, because every time I took it, that was never the case. You just had to prove that you had insurance.
Right.
Oh, really?
It
Well,
used to be that
It used
way.
to be that we
It
had
used to
to.
be that you had to show that it was equal or better insurance.
I think 2 years ago that was the case, so this must have been a very. But you know, folks who highly ethical folks. Have we heard from employees or department heads, anything that has fallen short with the insurance that they're offered now? That it's a real bad situation for
I haven't
X?
heard that.
I've yet to hear a gripe from anybody, so but I will.
Our employees don't get sick.
I'm sorry.
Our employees don't get sick.
They really
They don't.
don't.
We're fortunate that way, but, there's always, you never know what happens.
So what are we gonna do with the prescription?
I mean, you could change this to see what it was on the other plan. It wouldn't take that much to modify this to do it.
Again, it looked like, I certainly can do that tomorrow. It looks like maybe a $30 swing in premium.
Yeah, so I mean,
But like you said, if they're going to do the deductible plan and you're putting money into the FSA and they're also going to contribute, that's what that is for. So you're getting money pre-taxed to pay for some of these out-of-pocket expenses.
As long as you
Would be the
have.
deductible, which be prescriptions that aren't paid for or things like that. They'll be paid for, just probably not all of it.
So the difference would be $450 a year?
no, it's $500.
No, I mean,
The $30 swing.
Oh,
For the difference in plans.
it's $450 a year?
450 times 9.
Right, times 9.
What?
Times 9, because there's 9 employees.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you, okay. I was thinking of the individual, if this would, 36 bucks is not.
So,
So let's do it.
Okay.
So what date are we going to have them come in?
You want to do the 26th? Monday, 9 o'clock?
Sounds good
It's
to me.
Monday a week.
It's
It's not this
Monday
time.
after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
So can I tell Health Trust that we're going to go to option 2? The same plans, but option 2?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I guess the question is on the, is it, I mean, I guess I'd want to look and see what the increase was for the option 1, which I didn't fully focus on. And then maybe you remove the flexible spending account if you're, I mean, I think the flexible spending account is a better, I mean, it's new to people, but it's better for them.
It's
Because they
definitely
can
better.
use it for other things than just drugs.
It's definitely better, yes.
Um,
I personally wouldn't think that that would be a hardship, but that's just me.
Especially for a family, that flexible spending plan is.
Right.
that
But they're also, their costs are going down almost $300 a month on a family plan. They're going to be paying $300 less a month.
Right.
So if they put that money into their flexible account, all of a sudden,
It would absorb these extra costs.
all of a sudden, you've got quite a bit more money to work with. And if you're not sick, you're building that account for someday when things don't.
That account, you can only roll over $500 at the end of the year.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's one of those HSA or HRAs that
You
you
could
could build. We don't have those yet, but
But those
again,
are
those will do
expensive
the
to
homework.
build, right? Those are expensive to set up.
To set up, yeah, they can be, yeah. So,
But that can move with an individual, say an individual's working for us, and one of those is set up, and then
the HRA can, yes.
they move somewhere else, or go somewhere else, that goes with
The
it.
health reimbursement account, yes. Yeah.
So we're.
But again, I think to start with this and get people used to it,
I'm just thinking about
we
the
can do
person
stuff
that
for next
really
year.
is thinking about how to take care of themselves long-term. Yeah, I mean, would it be better for us, you said some figure, and I can't remember what it was, the cost to set up an HSA.
It was almost $500. Right,
Just to set it up.
Just to set it
That
up.
seems awful.
yeah,
Who's getting that money?
yeah. The benefits advantage, the people who are setting up, it's a whole big cafeteria plan that has to be set up and managed. So, yeah. But like we talked about, like we talked about this morning, though, I mean, think that this would definitely be something good to look at for next year. You know, we started small, making these small changes, added the plan last year. So now we have to make these small changes for the contribution, and then we'll do homework on setting up the other, if we choose to, HSA or HRA. There's 3 different options that we can do.
there's
And we
third?
can,
Oh.
there's flexible spending, health savings, or health reimbursement. And they're all different, they all have different rules. I believe you can have a flexible spending and one of the other ones at the same time. So there's definitely a lot of options.
Have our employees, have our employees availed themselves of the options heretofore?
No.
Because they did
Only,
it.
only 4.
Only 4.
Only 4,
Well, less than half of them.
yeah.
Well, they know best.
But
Well,
it's a learning experience for everybody. Change is hard for everybody, but
People, especially folks with a family, will attend to what's best for them.
Right.
The options given.
I'd like to try and have Peter come in on Monday from Health Trust. And I would like to invite the family members or the spouses to be there as well.
A lot of times the spouse is the one that's really
Right.
doing the work.
So that would be my plan.
Are we, if we decide on this and have them come in to explain it, are we getting ahead of ourselves in terms of your concern that, wait a minute, we ought to look at, and ask some questions about how what we got now is working for the folks? Is it premature to do this on the 26th?
I don't think so.
Well, Dan said that, you know.
I mean, that's an opportunity for them to say, this really stinks, I don't like this. I mean, I would think that they would get this information.
Yeah, just because they
before.
come in doesn't mean that we're going to.
I mean, I would make sure that they got this information before the meeting, so
Right.
that they come in and they have an understanding of what's going on, not just, okay, you're here now, so here, this is what we're gonna do.
But
Because it
think
takes a
about-
little bit of time to,
All you really need to do tonight is to decide what plans you're going to offer. You can talk to them on the 26th about what you want them to contribute. You can decide after that if you want to change your mind, but
did you have that spreadsheet with you, that other spreadsheet that shows the cost of option A, prescription option A versus prescription?
No.
You don't have it in
I
mind.
I have it.
Oh, wait a
Figured I had
minute.
enough paper.
maybe, yeah, maybe I do.
Jumped around and.
Oh, you've got it, you've got it, you've got it, perfect.
But I
Is that
didn't
what
think you
you
wanted to change the plans
That's the
themselves.
option 2.
Yeah.
And this is option 1 versus option 2, so
So
the.
the costs are done out on that, yeah.
Option 1 is $741.27, and option 2 is $717.15. So you're right, about $30, or less than
Right.
difference. But in the long run, are they, you know, they're not using, because they're going to have to pay 10% of the difference. We're going, I think we need to go at least 90-10.
What are we at now? 93?
93.7. You know, so they pay 7%. And the average of that whole group was a little bit over 9%.
Right.
And of course, it's hard to tell because you don't know what plans they have for them or anything else. I mean, that's you know, you can get a statistical number, but it doesn't mean much because you don't know if they've got really good plans or really cheap plans. You know, so you don't know that. It's just with the average.
Right.
You know, and this is only dubbing around and tapping people on the shoulder, asking about annual raises and stuff from other towns, but I think that the next time we do a cost and salary, wage, and benefit cost survey, especially if we did it with the towns that we did it with last time, that we're going to end up at least in the lower half of, I don't think we're gonna make the 50th percentile for, we just don't have the tax base for it, but we do have, we got some wiggle room in the unexpended fund balance, which I'm hoping that we're gonna take a chunk of to reduce the tax rate for the third, I believe this will be the third year in a row. We tried to chip away at that, getting back to where we were 7 years ago.
Yeah,
6 years
I
ago.
don't disagree with that, but when we do a cost analysis with other towns, we really ought to look at the whole cost of the employee, not just what they're paid for going out and doing the work.
Well,
I mean,
but it does, it includes benefits.
It does include the benefits.
Yeah, we didn't get full benefit information from everybody, but we got, but the first thing that we used, that NHMA, whoever was doing that, doesn't seem to be doing it anymore, and the survey that advisory committee came up with it was concentrated on wages and salary, because, we had a road agent that was getting paid less than most part-time road agents. It's phenomenal. Dana's thing, remember, the statistics came out in wages, but Dana was on salary, so that, the people who looked like they were making more money than less money than Dana was making a ton more, because they were being paid for work. And there were other examples like that too, where people stuck on it. And the wait a minute didn't.
But you also have to look at the ability of the people in the community to pay.
Absolutely.
That's big. I mean,
Absolutely, but partially, they've already paid, because there's more money in that unexpended fund balance, and I think we should be.
Oh, I don't disagree there. Fully in agreement there.
Hey, well, speaking of tax rate, when are we?
Well, that's my next thing.
Let's decide on this.
Absolutely.
And then go on to the next thing. But Becky, just so everybody knows, I did send this to Becky, and she was able to look at it, responded, she agreed with Willie's recommendations.
With the what?
She agreed with Willie's recommendations.
You want option 2? Is that one of your recommendations?
Well,
Or you didn't do?
That's the number she did on the,
That's
did
the
on
one I
option
took.
2.
When I was
Yeah.
going through it, I went through and I went, okay, there's option 2, those are the numbers, and I started using those numbers, and that's what I based this all on, was one set of numbers, because you can't make, you can do another whole sheet, make a comparison, but again, you don't really know what prescriptions people might or might not need.
And neither did I.
Right.
Speaking of volatile markets, geez,
I mean, it's just tough, I mean.
So option 2?
if we take a vote,
I recommend option 2.
I'll go with 2.
Second is motion.
Second the motion.
More discussion?
You're going to keep the same plans, and I'll write them out. You're changing from option 1 to option 2. That's the only change.
And that's gonna be slightly less costly to the single.
It'll be slightly higher by about $25 to $30 in premium, monthly premium.
Oh,
Right.
I wasn't paying attention. I thought that option 2 lowered.
No.
No, with that option 2, you don't get as much prescription drug coverage.
Right.
That's basically what the difference is.
If you're doing the retail piece, it's fine. So if you just go and get a 10-day supply of something, it's going to be the same price, option 1 and option 2. But if you need to go and get a 90-day supply, you're going to pay higher than you would have in the first plan.
And that's a mail order.
That's the mail order, right.
The difficulty is the most expensive place to buy drugs in this country is a drugstore. Well, that's true. The highest prices you can get are in Rite Aid and Walgreens and CVS. It's just, you're paying more than, and I still think that the guy behind the counter or the woman behind the counter can't tell you, by the way, if you decided not to use your insurance, you could get it for X, which is a third of the cost. And I believe that neither the federal government nor the state government have passed that to allow that, to take the gag off the ethical person behind the counter to give you that information. So I'm concerned that if the 90-day cost.
But I think with I believe with the contributions to the health savings account, the cheaper premium, because the premium that they were paying, if they go to this plan, is $200 cheaper a month. So, there are going to be other savings.
And what's the increase in premium for just a single?
The single does increase. That increases to $21.51. More that the single has to pay.
Is there a dot in that?
$21.51.
That's 258 cents. That's $300. I'm buying that.
That's the increase.
Right. It's a $300 increase.
For
Pay
an
12
individual.
months. Yeah. I'm in for 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's fortunately, I hate to use the word, but it's a crapshoot.
Okay.
All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Aye.
I realized we had it on the table.
Well, it wasn't the table. So that's done. Now, as I said at the last meeting, if we didn't hear from the New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration on the value of Granite State Power's property at map 214 lot 217-001, I thought we ought to set an evaluation, since we are the assessors.
What's that RSA that I was reading there that you had?
83?
No, the
83F.
RSA that said they have to December 1st to make.
Yeah.
That's the state. The state also taxes. That's not anything to do with the municipality.
Okay, so that RSA don't apply to us?
What?
No, it doesn't. That's the state. The state taxes utilities. They tax them at $6 and something cents.
But it said the utility has until December 1st to evaluate themselves, or whatever, that they...
The state has to set the value by December 1st.
For them.
Don't we use that?
That's what we
We
use, and that's what
we often use it, but they often set it way in advance of that instead of the deadline. The
Right.
trouble is, we aren't able to send the tax bills out because we haven't put our MS1 in because they haven't given us a figure.
Right.
We expect to get it, though.
Well, I talked to Willie about that.
And that's great. So what I
When did they
did,
say they were going to give it to us?
Tomorrow by 1 o'clock.
Oh,
okay, my motion's perfect.
This is the motion.
there you go.
My motion is perfect. And what I did, just so that you know how I came to this, is I went in the office and I said, what was Eversource's full value of both pieces of property last year? What is their value now? I subtracted the difference. The trouble with setting an estimated amount for what their property is valued at is if you're too low, you can't go higher. If you set it higher, you just hold a little bit of money to pay an abatement. So it wound up that the holdings before were $14,853,725, and their value this year was $9,717,243. The difference being $5,136,482. I'd rather err on the higher side, so I would go $5.5 million value. And if we would set it that, and I'll just get to the bottom line, I'll make a motion that we assess Granite State Power located at map 214 lot 217-001 for the amount of $5,500,000 if we do not receive from DRA within 24 hours the assessment for that bond. And we can move forward with her on this one.
I'll second your motion, but, and also move to amend. And I understand your concerns on this, but if this is supposed to come through by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon,
Then this would be moved.
in fact, but we might want to hold off until, to give them, if there's a glitch, it would be nice, especially because we're toying with the tax rate, it would be nice to have the most accurate information we can get, so in 72 hours.
Kathy did tell me that she has a conference call with them tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It should be about an hour. She'll do some figuring, she will call me. If she doesn't hear from them tomorrow, she will call me with a rate that she's setting on her own, with the paperwork she has right now.
No kidding.
So there will be a number. That's her plan.
Kathy?
So, no.
Oh.
Kathy at the state.
Oh.
I mean,
either way.
We've had to file for extension after extension.
No, I
because
agree.
they haven't-
So does everybody in the state if they want to be
Not everybody.
accurate.
No, either way.
But I mean, the thing is.
So either way, we're going to have a figure tomorrow.
Well,
And if we
that's what
don't hear
they've
from-
said for months.
Right, if I don't hear from Kathy, then we'll use his. Because I would like to do the MS1 tomorrow afternoon.
We need to-
Everything else is ready on that except for that one number.
So we don't hear from them by tomorrow, COP, we go with Lewis.
If Steve's in favor.
The
2 against 1.
The implication here is we're going to follow the process that Darlene has just outlined and.
Yeah, well, I mean, the bottom line is we don't hear from them. You already said Kathy's going to do it, so we're going to have a figure tomorrow. So,
Well,
Kathy,
no.
DRA.
DRA.
DRA will do it.
Is supposedly going to do
That's
it tomorrow.
Kathy,
We've
that I was
heard,
talking about.
and it's a snowstorm tomorrow, so they may not be in,
Right.
I mean, I'm just tired of
I-
playing games with them.
all
I've got a
right.
responsibility to.
I'm out of town. I'm in town on Monday, and if you don't want to
I
wait
want
another
to do it
business.
now.
I agree. We've been,
It's be done.
yeah, because this is going to get, because the tax bill is going to go out during Christmas time, and that's going to be horrible.
It's already going to be pretty close to Christmas.
No, I agree.
It can be, wait a minute, it can be, we'll have a tax rate the first week of, we'll have a tax rate before November 30th, I would think, once this is settled.
Still, we're into December, but then you get the bill.
And then you got to print them, you got to mail them, and all of a sudden
It's almost always thus.
Oh.
It shouldn't be, but
Yeah.
it is. Merry
It's
Christmas.
been us being late. Last year or the year before, it was because the county didn't have their act together. It's always somebody, and they're not coming up with, the rules say you get it done by such and such a date, and, oh, we haven't got it, so, oh, we'll give you an extension. No.
All right,
Raise it-
further discussion.
Raise it a half, $500,000 to.
Put it 6 million?
Yeah.
You'd rather see 6 million? We
I
can
would-
always abate it. I
we-
mean,
we
and
can-
we'll know what the real price is, so we can say when we're going to set our tax rate, we need to keep out X for abatements.
Okay.
Great.
I amend my motion to $6 million.
I second that amendment.
Further discussion?
Go.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I'm voting for this, but I need some lead time. You can't always go. That's good. Look at us.
Jim actually might be here to talk about
Oh!
the truck. Even though
We-
the department heads were-
We'll proceed directly to public comment. Gentlemen?
Couple of things. I sent Darlene the numbers.
Would you do me a favor?
Come on up here with
Come
us.
up closer, so I can hear you better.
Why not?
I got them in, but they're just not
Let me
picking up
turn
here.
the camera back too.
Yeah, well.
I didn't tell them about your email,
Okay.
so I haven't had
So-
a chance.
So the price on the new truck
Oh,
for, like if we were to do it today, which we're not gonna get that, would be 410,000.
for what?
410,000.
410.
410, so you're missing 16, you're missing $26,000.
Correct. Because we're budgeting for next year, sign contract after town meeting in March, it's felt that it would be a good idea to to add 5% to that for the purpose of the warrant article. Not that we're going to necessarily get to that. So for the warrant article, what I sent Darlene was 430 for a total. And then the wording, as we discussed before, would be raise and appropriate 430, 384,000 to come out of funds previously raised and balance to come out of 2019.
So wait, you've got the 384K.
But you're asking for $46,000.
Right. Hopefully we won't spend the whole 46 or 5, but that's what is concerned of the manufacturer, but you know, what's the tariff going to do to the price of metal, that sort of thing.
So the price you have now, if you went to them and said, I want that truck, is that a guaranteed locked-in price?
I don't know, because we weren't talking.
Will it be locked in March 15th if you go, or 3
Be locked
days?
in as soon as we sign a contract.
I mean, but
What day is town meeting?
It's not like
I don't know, but
it's not like we're putting down a signing purchase sale agreement and we putting a deposit down, so they're locking in the price.
If we're able to tell the voters, this, you know, the proposal bid was reaffirmed 2 days ago by the vendor, I would think that would.
Oh, yeah, at that point, we might be able to do that, yes, man, on the floor, say, because, yeah, at that point, they're not projecting ahead so far.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I would think if you walk in with what would be a contract on that night and say, this is the amount, right here it says 415,000 or whatever it is, and the voters then say aye or yes to that. The next day, it gets signed and sent off. It's done.
yeah.
Versus
I think that could happen.
trying to project and then say, well, because we run
Yeah,
into
but we
this
need to put
before.
something in the warrant article. We need to have an amount there. We can amend it.
I think that that's a
You know,
good.
say, get the contract corrected and amended to the exact amount.
Right.
I'm good with that, yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Versus,
But I think we gotta put an amount in the warrant
oh,
article.
you do.
So
You
do
have
I.
to
I
have-
think
you
it should
have
be,
to have
I think it
a
should
realistic
be,
amount.
The suggestion is go 5% above,
Yeah.
because it's another year. Tariffs and all that.
so it's going to be, in 16, it's going to be $76,000 more than what we've got. Is that correct?
46,000.
46.
No, we got 384, and you want to put another 46. Is that all you need?
I think it's the 430, that's the high end, is what I'm saying.
430.
Yeah.
So that would be
56,000.
56K.
If my math is right.
And that's, if you think you have a little bit of comfort in that 5% or 7%, then of course you come in and make a motion to reduce it to whatever the latest thing is, which would probably help everybody. Okay, so it's going to be
46.
46.
What?
46.
Yeah, well, that's what I had the first time, and then.
And when you said that, that sounded like what I had.
It's
Yeah, okay.
46 and
Yeah,
46 and
That's what I had the
56,
first time.
Yeah.
Well,
Then
no,
there-
it's
I was
40
going to get first.
He was questioning.
It's 46 and 16.
Yep.
Good idea? We're not going to need a motion on that. I'm correct. It's going to be included in your budget. So when we see it.
Well,
Well, it's going to be a warrant article.
Right.
So
It's going to be a
it'll
warrant.
be separate.
Okay.
No, I'm just letting you know.
Right, so now I can do
emailed
the
it
warrant
to
article.
Diane, Darlene this
Yeah.
morning.
And $384,000 of that has been raised and appropriated. And,
So we'll
you know, I think
we'll try not to give that back to the voters.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So,
Jim.
so just to,
No, I'm going to finish.
so to make a point that, I guess I should have stayed to the end of the last meeting.
I was just going to bring that up.
You know, I look at the agenda usually, and if I think I should be there to answer questions whenever I stay, if not, I go to the fire meeting, which I'm not at right now. But, the difference between the bids and where we're at is the custom cab.
Is the what?
Custom cab.
Okay.
Not going with a custom cab, which we never intended to originally, but it was thrown out by the same, and I don't really like to talk about people in front of the camera, but the same person who made it sound like it was not due diligence was done and all that, that we should try to get a custom cab so we can try to get as many of our friends to ride in it. That was $70,000 right there. And then the other big chunk is of savings is hydraulic rescue tool system. So just so you kind of know where.
What do you mean? Savings is a hydraulic rescue tool. That's not part of the truck, that's equipment.
Well, no, it was part of it. It was part of the original bid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's certain equipment that was part of the bid.
Okay.
And that was part of it. That
And
system,
still is?
in that system. No.
So there's no hydraulic tool?
And we're
You're gonna keep the one
switching,
you got?
see, the system we're going to get is going to, portion of it will be built into the truck. It would get its power from the built-in generator to run the hydraulic pump. The hydraulic pump would be built in and plumbed to reels that would be pre-plumbed, fed. So your jaws of life and your cutter would be connected to the hoses, and you just pick them up and walk away, and the reel would spin out. And that's the way you use it. There are departments around that have heavy rescue trucks. That's sort of the way you set them up now. So that's what we were going to do. But when we started speccing this truck a couple years ago, you remember we were really going to bid it the year before, but CIP asked if we could put it off a year to balance things out. I said, yeah, okay. At that point in time, that was the best way to do it. But in the last couple of years, electric powered, they're still hydraulic tools,
right?
But they're run by battery. The hydraulic pump is in the tool. That technology has come a long ways. And
Is that what the demo, did you folks get a demo of some of
we
this?
did. We had a class that Tamworth hosted that had, I'll just call them national level instructors, but other towns came to too. We had a dozen people, so there. And vendors came as well. And so we had to try things.
And it's real satisfied with that.
Yeah.
Well, I would think the portability of it is big, because if you've got it tied to a truck, you can only go as far as your hose.
Yeah, true, but we've never really been in an instance where we haven't set the power pack on the road, even for cars down over the bank. There's enough hose, you don't want to carry the power pack down, we have enough hose. And we have a portable system on the truck in Chicago. Yes, it's powered. So that wasn't a huge deal, but the bigger thing is the ease of use.
Yeah.
You're not fighting with stinking hose all the time. And when you got to switch tools, because even with the setup we were looking to put on this new truck, there would only be 2 pre-plumbed hoses. So if you were doing a dash displacement, because the dash caved in on something, okay, you're gonna spread some doors, so you gotta have your spreaders, you're gonna cut the roof off, so you need your cutters, and then you need your rams to actually push the dash. But when you go do your third thing, you gotta disconnect one tool from the hoses and reconnect the other. Battery powered tools, they all gonna have their own batteries plus spares. You don't have that.
I'm with you. I don't like to talk about something that I know nothing about, and I don't like to talk when there's nobody here to defend themselves. But are you prepared to discuss, because I'm sure it's going to come back, that was brought up at last meeting, this truck that Effingham has that's...
Yeah.
I mean, you don't explain it to me, I mean, but
no,
it was brought up like that was the
The cat's meow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically just not being completely aware of the big picture fire department wise, okay? To generalize it, the justification for having a fire department is insurance rates. That's how fire departments started. They were started by insurance companies in order to cut losses. Over time, they became municipal departments by and large. There's one private department left in the state of New Hampshire. But the whole deal is, in my book, probably because I'm an engineer, but is if you can't justify that you're saving more money than you're costing, then there's no sense having a fire department. Just let the darn thing burn down. They did, you know. So the reality is our big goal is to keep insurance rates where they're at or improve. And what started the mini bumper idea, I think, is potential in some people's eyes, some people's eyes, is that, oh, NFPA will classify a truck now with 300 gallons of water on it as a Class A pumper, which you didn't used to do. A bit more than that. So, people not familiar with how the whole system works said, hey, take a Class A pumper and we could replace, say, the truck in Chicago or Lansing with a Class A pumper for less money. And it won't bother anything. It's not true. NFPA changed their definition of what can be included as a Class A pumper because in cities where they have hydrants every 300 feet, it was demonstrated you don't need the tank of water. You know, our next step, just to illustrate it, is in terms of water supply. That's one thing that's going to help our insurance ratings is when we can say that we can meet certain water supply requirements. Well, that step is from within 10 minutes of getting to the scene of the fire, you have to establish 250 gallon per minute flow and maintain it for 2 hours. So think about it. You're in Lansing, and you put a mini pumper there. A mini pumper is 300 gallons of water, is what you're talking about. Well, the 1941 Ford that was in Lansing when I was a kid had 300 gallons of water. I know what it's like to try to do a house fire, 300 gallons of water. You run out of water really fast. So do the math, 250 gallons a minute, and you came with 300 gallons of water. Get just over a minute, right? Like 1.2 minutes. You're not going to meet your insurance rate. ISO, who does insurance ratings, and insurance companies who don't use ISO and do their own audits, which is more and more prevalent in the last 10 years, that some insurance companies don't use ISO, they do their own ratings. They call a lot. Even back when I was chief, we used to get a lot of calls. And what they want to know is how much water is on each truck and where is it. So as soon as you tell them, oh, I got a mini pumper, they're not going to call it a Class A pumper. That part of town is going to lose. Their insurance rate is going to go down. Because that's 1.2 minutes worth of water.
Yeah, and 1,000 gallons is how long?
Well, 254. 4. So, when you're doing, and 2 of our engines are 3,000 gallons, and are 3,000 gallon tanks. So that's 12 minutes. So, we have one of the 3,000 gallon trucks in South Tamworth. One is in Central Station. The Lansing truck has 1,000 gallons, and the Chicago truck has 1,000.
Is what?
1,000 gallons. So we're set up really good now to be able to make that jump, to do that 250 gallons a minute within 10 minutes. Remember, you get 10 minutes when you get to the scene. To start the 250. So when they do their audit and you've got to demonstrate this, you get to the scene, don't flow any water for 10 minutes. Save it, because that's when you're going to start at 250, and then you start at 250. By then, 10 minutes has gone by, more of your trucks are getting closer. The 300 gallons only get you a minute and a half, 1.2 minutes. It's not.
There's something wrong with the math, though, because what does a fire do every minute? Doubles in size, correct?
That's a very general statement. It all depends on what stage of the fire it's at. If a house is, let's say, 25% involved, one end of it's going, that is absolutely true. If the fire starts in the trash can, sets the alarm on, it's not doubling in size at that point. So that's a very general statement.
But a lot of these are general statements,
Exactly.
because you never know exactly where you are, how far away from water supplies, and all the other things, so it's all general.
Right. So that's the primary reason a mini pumper doesn't work well for Tamworth. Even look in the cities where they have the hydrants. How many mini pumpers do you see in the city? I work in a lot of cities around the state. I haven't seen any cities where it's run mini pumpers. They even have trucks every 200 feet. Well, why is that? Because they can't carry what they need to carry. Just take the equipment that goes on one of these engines and try to put it on a mini pumper. It's not going to fit. The truck we're replacing, the truck we're talking about, carries our cascade system. That's what refills the air packs. It carries a large generator for light. It carries positive pressure ventilation. It carries our leak equipment, spill cleanup equipment.
Positive,
There's
I'm sorry, back.
positive pressure ventilation fan.
No kidding.
It's a fancy name for a fan to blow the smoke out.
Good deal.
It's a big fan.
Well, that's something to figure out.
Blows the
But
smoke.
that's-
Well,
that's-
I don't really know about this.
It's a BFF.
Yeah.
But,
And,
but,
and a lot of it blocking for fire accidents, there's extrication. The truck the comment we got from bidders when they're trying to fit what needs to go on this truck, we're not adding, this is what's on the truck that we had, that we're replacing, was, wow, this is hard. This is hard to fit. In fact, the low bidder's truck was quite a bit shorter than the other guy's bidder, the second guy's bidder, because he found a creative way to put the cascade system bottles not all in one place, up in what they call coffin compartments up top, and then plumb them together, and that's legal by DOT standards now.
can I ask a dumb question? Does that fan have some impact on the health and safety of your crew?
Well, it makes it a
I
lot
would
more
think that-
tenable inside.
That would be pretty
But-
critical,
Yeah.
only because the stuff I read about some health challenges to the people haven't picked up on until lately to.
Right, well, I mean, hopefully we're wearing self-contained breathing apparatus, that's that, but what it really helps with is you can see what the heck you're doing and where you're going.
Yeah, right.
Once you blow the smoke out of the way.
Smoke's pretty serious.
But you have to be very careful with ventilation too, because, the fire's in one end, and that's, put the fan blowing in, you can blow it right to the other end. You kind of got to know where it is. And, there's positive pressure ventilation we do, and there's negative pressure ventilation. The negative pressure is safer if you're not really sure where the fire is than the positive pressure. You don't like to do positive pressure unless you know where the fire is, because you can blow it all through the house. Look,
It's being taken to school.
nooks and crannies. It's like when you open the hose line, you squirt water into the fire. Okay, what happens to the water? Evaporates.
Expands.
Steam expands. How much? 1,700 tons. So you took a gallon of water, blew it in there, you get 1,700 gallons of steam. That's a lot of pressure. That pressure will push fire places. Now, you feel like you're in class. These are all things that people who have been doing this for 25 years know. Those people who have been doing it 5 years who talked at these meetings and haven't got that yet. They're great kids, and I don't like to knock them because I get tired if I have to do everything myself. great kids, great enthusiasm, but it takes a while to see to know the bigger picture. And I've talked to that person, we're sitting together in the back. But
It's nice to have the young Turks, though. It's nice to have the,
absolutely, absolutely.
We were all there once.
And we're not.
We were all there once.
Yeah, true. Can I ask you?
And none of us are getting any younger.
Can I ask you who the low bidder is, or is that none of my business?
No, it's public, it's Lakes Region Fire Apparatus.
Yes. Homegrown is best.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't build the whole truck over there.
Well, that's okay. That's a good
They
deal.
go through their doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, it's
It
nice
is-
that,
I
it's
told
nice
them-
that you
I
can
told
do
them
business in town.
the previous trip, I hope you're low, or I hope you're really, really high. Because I don't want to be stuck. Yeah, making that decision, exactly, because just like Dan expressed it, one of the meetings after the bid opening, a lot of people in town would rather pay a little more to do business with a local guy. What's a little more to one person? It's not necessarily a little more to the next guy. And
today you can't do that.
And all of that. So, if you advertise something that's going to be a low bid system, you really want to go by the low bid system. So,
because if you don't, you're going to be found.
yeah,
Deep
well,
trouble. You don't have to go to the low bid.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends how you advertise.
You've got apples to apples, and they're the same thing.
I mean,
And this guy's going to sell it to you for this, and you're using taxpayer dollars.
It all depends
You go
how you
over here.
set it up too. Your bid, whether you say that you have the right to reject it or not. In my real job, in DOT, we work on a pre-qualified low bid system. And we absolutely, and the way they're advertised, we absolutely have to take the low bid.
But you can always take, in any bidding system, you can always take in the quality of the product and.
Well, in a pre-qualified low bid system, nobody's bidding who's not
Right.
already qualified.
Well,
So that's why I say
due
in my full-time job situation, there is no choice.
When they say they're going to bring certain grade of gravel, that's the grade of gravel curbs.
We spec exactly what it
And
has
if-
to be,
and
it has to, and
it's
say
$10
they have to
cheaper
be
here,
pre-qualified in order to get a bid done.
Right.
We have lists of pre-qualified contractors and for pre-qualified for different things and different levels of things. You could be pre-qualified for road, but only up to a certain size.
Because Dan is about to get up and take my ballpoint pen and drive it into one of my ears, we got that we'll expect that warrant, and Darlene will work with you on that warrant article for 46 large, and maybe an explanation of where I guess it's a little better than that. 46 is 16.
Part of the point of the explanation is just to show that unlike what was portrayed during the public comment portion of the last meeting, it's not that somebody didn't do due diligence or that the fire boards didn't do all the legwork. They asked the chief to do some of the legwork. The notion that nobody talked to Lakes Region Fire Apparatus was not true. I made that comment today. I said, not only do we talk fairly regularly, but we also talk about you.
We have.
It's just, there's some false impressions thrown out there that I just kind of want to clear. And I definitely want to say, you, in your position, you have to let the public speak, you have to say that I thought you folks handled it excellent. Somebody told me I need to watch the tape because I need to say, so I did. And I thought you guys perfect.
The bottom line is it's up to the voters.
Right.
And we have, I feel it's our responsibility to be as frugal as we can, because there's some people having some tough times.
Absolutely.
It's just the nature of the game.
Yeah, it's some tough times.
And we're looking at a lot of things that cost a lot of money.
Right.
I mean, because another 2 years, you're looking for another truck, right?
But we also got those
Is that
people.
the CIP for in 2021?
Rescue?
Or 22?
That's-
I mean, it's.
Yeah, not another engine. It's a small
Rescue.
Was it a rescue truck, fire
160.
truck, what was it?
ambulance.
An ambulance?
Yeah.
Not a rescue truck, an ambulance.
Right.
Well, with the new extrication and things, rescue trucks and ambulances are closer in.
But we don't have a rescue truck anymore. We used to have a medium duty rescue back, I don't know, sometime when Steve Solomon was here, so it was between 2005, 2007. We eliminated the rescue truck in favor of an ambulance. And extrication equipment and all that stuff came off of there and went on the fire truck.
Are you carrying?
No, but we need to move on.
But he'll shoot me, honest to God. You know, he's threatened me several times. So we'll look forward to working with, Darlene will work with you, and I'm sure she puts those past the town attorney, which is standard operating procedure, and it'll be set as long as she's, you know, she's with you on exact figures. All right, and thank you for the lesson, sir.
All right, big time one class. They do them all over the place.
Relief, John, relief.
Signature file.
I'm looking for it. Oh, wait, administrative updates, did we do that?
No, we didn't.
Okay,
We've actually talked about most of them.
good.
The only thing really, did you check the foundation at the town house?
I have, and it's not complete. I don't know what we're going to do on that, to be honest with you. There's a couple of more things I need to look at. Someone made a comment that some of the windows that they did in the basement didn't look that great from the inside.
Okay.
And the work is not complete. And the ground is frozen now.
Right. She did send me an email saying that they went back over the other day.
Did some stuff.
Did a few things and said, I don't think that this, it was a day of snow.
Right.
So they did say that they would go back, they would be back in the spring.
How come you get to
Whatever
lead?
needed to do.
So,
fair.
I guess what we need to do is figure a portion of completion and withhold a significant amount to make sure that it gets done in the spring.
75%.
You want to hold 75%?
Geez, you know, I mean, the place leaks. Too much?
Yeah.
I think most of that stuff is okay. I think it's really sort of a dress up.
What percentage of the water?
I want to go look first.
So we'll look.
So your base amount is
How
what
much have they got,
percentage?
how much
is
have they
not?
got completed?
Right.
How much have they got uncompleted? And then an estimate of, okay, that's 10% they haven't got completed, so you hold 25%.
Okay.
Something like, some.
I'm
I
good.
mean,
I'm good with whatever you come up
I
with.
think they've worked, I mean, never mind, I won't say what I really think.
That's
Do we
good.
want to meet with the evaluations for the employees? Can we do that Monday when we're going to be in there anyway?
That would make good sense.
Can we go in earlier and do that?
I don't, we could, I don't, there's one I would like to postpone because, we got an additional.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. We haven't talked about it yet.
Right. So.
We should talk about that though.
Yeah, we should talk
So,
about it. Yeah.
I mean, maybe at our next, when's our next meeting?
And we don't have one until after Thanksgiving.
December.
29th.
The 29th.
And now Becky's not back till the 26th anyway. She might not even be here I don't know when she comes in on the 26th.
No, so much for my theory.
Well, I mean, it just.
Well, we could still.
Well, I mean, we could do everybody else.
Well, we could do half of them.
Do half.
I mean, we could do, if Richard's out on the thing, we can do who's ever available.
That sounds good to me. Let's start knocking them out.
Yeah.
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
We've got to decide which half we're going to do.
Who's ever available at 8, between 8 and 9? How's that?
We're going to talk about one of them before that.
If we started at 7, we could get them all done in 2 hours. Because the rec.
Because we
except
could
for a
talk
couple
about
of-
the first one.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, let's start at
There's
7.
5,
We'll
right?
start at 7.
Huh?
There's 5.
And nobody doesn't come in till 8.
We're going to start at 7 and have them start coming in between 8 and 9. How's
Well,
that?
is Becky there? It's Becky's thing, and I have
Will
some.
Becky be back?
I don't know. I think she comes back the 26th, but I don't know.
What day's the 26th?
It's that Monday.
Monday.
Oh. We'll come back on a Monday.
Becky.
Becky.
I will find out and I will get back to you guys.
Okay.
How's
I
that?
mean, we can sort of.
Yeah, because we're going to
We need to
need,
get going.
need to get going on that.
Sure. But there's 5 of them, so we could do at least, we could do 4, for sure. I mean, an awful lot of those are, the only thing we have to do is explain it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the difference between last year's when your person.
So even if Becky's not back, let's plan on doing at least 4 between 8 and 9. How's that?
Great.
If Becky's not even back, at least we can get 4 of them.
You can get 4 for sure
Yep.
if you start at 7:30 because, you know, Richard's out at 5:30 and it's practically coffee time by
Yep.
7:30.
Okay. so
7:30.
7:30?
Yep.
Sorry.
7:30
For 4 of the 5.
on the 26th.
Yep.
Did you say 7:30 or 7?
7:30.
Okay.
Because we got from 7:30 to 9, right?
And that'll.
And then
you
at
know,
9, we're going to discuss the
Insurance.
insurance.
And, you know, Aaron can come in and do a bunch and they go to work too. We don't all have to be at the insurance place. So that'll get us off the streets probably until noon at least. Good for the town.
Either that or thrown out, one or the other, onto the street.
No, I don't think so.
I think that's all that was on that we need to talk about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can we give you one more time? Or you good?
Yeah. Motion, I'm sorry, Selectmen's meeting, Thursday, November 1st. Motion to approve.
Second.
One amendment, if this is the one I'm thinking of, page 2. Yeah, on page 2, I'd like to have Dave Pohl's name in the motion I made. Because the motion reads, Selectman Farnum made a motion, request in writing to Senator Bradley to dedicate the newly renovated bridge at the intersection of Whittier Road and Tamworth Road. The motion was seconded by Poirier and passed unanimous. I'd really like named in honor of Dave Pohl's in the motion. Just that way, if somebody gets it separate,
Oh, yeah.
they've got it.
Write it in.
That's fine.
We'll vote
I wrote it
for it.
down.
Okay.
That much he
Just
has.
make the motion, Steve, to approve that as amended.
Yeah.
Second?
And I second it.
All right, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And Selectmen's meeting, November 5th. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. November 5th,
You can just make a file there if you want. I'll
All
just
right.
grab
Okay.
my people.
November 5th, non-public session. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hey,
It's actually going to be 2 of those. One is for the state.
payroll authorization dated it's 11/21 fire and rescue in the amount of $33,429.25. No, in the amount of $39,995.65. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Payroll, authorization for payroll processing manifest number PR 2018, 11/21/18 in the amount of $33,417.40. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Accounts payable check register in the amount of $1,191.73. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We have do we need to vote on this? Isn't this done by signature? Let's do it anyway. Accounts payable check register for November 2018, which is a voided reissue check, $136.67. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable check register, November 2018, in the amount of,
It's on the back.
oh,
Or,
right,
I think,
on
yeah.
the signature page.
Yeah.
$283,821.76. Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable payment manifest, 11/21/18, in the amount of $238,821.76. Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, an intent to cut. Map number 411-30, the access is, it's the backland off Breakneck Hill Road, and the access is off Breakneck Hill Road. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Intent to cut, 411-31, on it borders Breakneck Hill Road, and that's the access. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Intent to cut, map 407, lot 67. The access road is Philbrook Neighborhood Road. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Town administrative update for map and lot 415
Abatement.
abatement. For I'm not tired. Let's play two. 415-69, ... Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're gonna have to change the form, it's only got place for 3 signatures. I think it's only 3 of us.
The
Oh, no, there's a whole other column, isn't there? There's 2 columns for signatures.
Yeah, I guess you can.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So,
It's equalization.
the equalization assessment data certification. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. The MOU with the school concerning the emergency management generator, which we thought included in both. Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jax, the school board didn't
Haven't
sign
signed
off
it yet,
on
but
that.
that's all right.
Driveway application, Whittier Road. Motion to approve, although I don't think we need to. Motion to
Second.
approve.
Yep.
All those in favor? I mean,
Aye.
I don't think we need the signatures because it's,
This letter had asked me to ask if you would support this for an LRPC for funding for Route 16, some projects that they want.
and Depot
So
Road.
it does Depot Road, Chicora Lake Road,
Right.
certain areas around here, so.
I don't know, but
There's no specifics really, but just to ask for funding from the state.
Richard wanted some major work done on Depot Road. You know, he's patched it and cold sealed.
Oh, that just needs to be signed on the back. You already voted.
We voted on that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You're done.
This is done. Updates, I dare you.
Veterans Day went well.
It went great.
Had a good turnout. I think
That
it was
whole-
very well.
To turn that into a community, more of a community activity than it was good for the town.
Yep.
Good for the, and nice work by committee and all the speakers.
Darlene, can you post that the next Veterans Committee will be November 28th, 5 o'clock at the library?
It was nice to have the school there too.
Oh, yeah. And it was nice to have the reception at the library following.
How did that go?
Said that
A lot
was
of,
Excellent.
a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
that was great.
And that, it was nice to get out of the cold.
You're right, you told me, hey, to get a hot coffee. We've all been at the election now, we agreed, we all went to the election, 2 of us went to the election, do we agree that it was well-run?
Absolutely.
The folks there worked great, long hours, huge crowd, everybody was pleased, lots of new registrations, that really worked.
Yep.
The town, if it wasn't a record number of voters, I'll bet you it was a record number of one-day registrations. I'm real pleased with that. We probably ought to tell Kim. And all the
Chris deserves
Chris, Kim,
Everybody did a great job.
everybody did a great
Sorry, I
job.
wasn't able to be there. Was it fun?
We missed you.
My update is I did go to the library trustees meeting. Everything's running smooth there. Met
Getting a
with-
new carpet in?
No,
I thought they were gonna do it this,
they had the carpet cleaned.
or maybe that's what it was.
Yes.
That's always been good,
Yep.
that library,
They
but
take
this,
care of it.
they're a class act now, that display of the pictures that the moon, about the moon and teaching little kids, and you sit there and it's great, a lot of local artwork.
Their strategic plan has also gained great accolades from other libraries and stuff. It's really, it's one of the top-notch libraries in the state.
Absolutely.
And well-run, I think, and financially well. So they're, just keep plugging along, doing stuff. The trustees of the trust funds came because there was a question about I think it's $125 they have in a trust fund. And their recommendation was sort of, maybe you ought to just spend that trust fund and be done with it.
I thought they can always spend the
Well,
interest.
I don't know how that particular one was set up, but I mean, that was the kind of, it was done during the time that the building was renovated. And it was the remaining monies from that. So there may be some way that they can liquidate it. But the questions were due to the assessor's comments about them not having a policy on investments, that they needed to have a policy on investments. So,
Can they just take ours?
well, what basically they'll probably wind up doing is saying our policy is that we give our money to the trustees of the trust fund to invest, which makes perfect sense. So anyway, unless there's some reason they can't, they're going to figure that all out. But they do a great job, and it was a
You
good
bet.
hour-long meeting.
I went to TCC, there's a drinking water protection program at GM, Green Mountain Conservation, Wednesday, the 28th of November at 5:30 to 7. And they had the speaker there that's pretty good. They're going to continue to test water in the Chicago River all year, and the Tamworth rivers are in good shape. There's no public to comment. Motion
It's
to,
actually going to be B and E.
motion to enter non-public session under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2, B and E.
Poirier, yes.
Gray, yes.
Farnum, yes, and then we will adjourn.
So moved. I believe this is going to take 6.5 seconds.
Okay.
Okay? If you just,
You want to come back, or this is in and out, we're done.
Well, are you going to do anything after this non-public?
No.
You,
No,
Promise.
promise.
Yep.
no, absolutely,
We want to go home.
You can, what we want is, because our non-public's gonna take 6 seconds, so it's gonna take you longer than that to tear down your camera.
I'll just walk out.
So if you walk out, we'll be 6 seconds, you come back in, then we're gonna adjourn. How's that?
Perfect.
and if we see it
motion to seal the minutes of the preceding non-public under the reputation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Poirier, yes.
Aye,
Great.
yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Good. Second, third.
All those in favor?
fourth.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I really appreciate